What is up, you heathens and demons, sinners and saints, beautiful, blasphemous bastards? What's going on? What's up, Sammy? Good to see you, my man. Hope you're doing well. What's up, Marty? Yeah, that sucks. Try to have a good day at work. Maybe catch the playback. I think this one will be interesting if you pay attention to what's going on in the moderate hemisphere of the Democratic Party. This one might be a little interesting. Damn autocorrect correcting the non-words. It happens. How y'all doing? I have tomorrow off. This might be a long one. I got one fairly long stream to watch. I listened to it earlier today at work. Well, thank you, Sammy. Feeling pretty good. My legs are still fucked, but, feeling pretty good. I'm actually high today, like high, flower high. For the Americans or anybody that doesn't live in a reality where marijuana is legal, you probably never seen anything like this before, but we get coupons for our weed now. So, if the really good weed is going to be dirt cheap, then you got to get it. So I got like a lot of joints for like $25. It's crazy. Never in my damn life did I ever think I'd be turning in coupons for weed. So, yeah, a little high today. Gonna have some fun. Now, I gotta preface this. Like, I'm not looking for trouble with any really big channels or their audiences. That's not what I'm looking for here. This is something that I've been noticing, something that I think is very dangerous, and I think that both sides really need to kind of shore up, maybe put aside beef and grudge and maybe just fight for the better good now. But outside of that, I think people need to realize that, not everybody's going to agree 100% with your politics. In fact, most of your allies aren't going to mirror your politics. And it seems these days, like, on the left, everybody, and it seems like it's been like this for a while. On the left, and that includes liberals, what I would consider moderate Democrats, all the way to far lefties, that we expect people to agree with us 100% of the time. And if they don't, then we must ostracize them. We must have grand feuds with them. I am guilty of this. Now, I think my YouTube feuds that I had were merited. But even outside of those, just, I had my days where I was basically being controlled by woke scodes, and I was allowing myself to be controlled by woke scodes. I was going against what I really believe in, which is conversation. Can't have conversation if everybody agrees with you. And you're not going to have a coalition. You're not going to be able to defeat fascism if you're only looking for people that agree with you 100% of the time. It's fucking ridiculous. All of that being said, genocide is kind of a deal breaker. And a lot of people are going to use false equivalences with the genocide that's happening with Gaza and a lot of other shit that isn't genocide. You know what I'm saying? And I think people need to really combat their egos and realize, like, the danger we are in as a country, as a society. In the time when we need the strongest front ever, and this is as a lefty who fully understands that lefties have never had a seat at the Democratic table. We have to overlook that. We have to swallow our egos and defeat fascism. Moderates have been losing to fascists, and they want to blame the leftists. And they want to, not all of them, I think more and more, and I think clearly the Democratic base is on board with, like, you know, not supporting a genocide. But for some reason, the moderate independent media are on board with genocide. And I can't understand it. Destiny, a year ago, wasn't nowhere near the pro-Israel as Destiny is today. And these people are really upset about the leftist reaction to Chorus. But you have to understand, leftists we've been flabbergasted. Because usually genocide is something that as a party, we can agree on. But all of a sudden, when it's Israel doing it, it's not genocide. And that's a problem. That's a huge fucking problem. So I'm not trying to, like, get any huge audiences after me. I'm not coming after Destiny for his sex shit. It is my honest opinion that people are innocent until they're proven guilty. Now, and I hope that he can prove his innocence, because I think he's a champion of the left. I think we need his debate skills despite his ego. That being said, listening to some of the emails that have been released, it's like, it's pretty sick shit. Even if the person is 26 years old, like Destiny says, it's still some pretty sick shit. And it's like, I don't know. I understand people in their privacy talk certain ways, but when you're laid bare, you're going to be judged for that. And if he's guilty of the things he's accused of, well, he should face his consequences like anybody else. But this isn't about that. This is about what I've been seeing. Moderates going after leftists, leftists going after moderates. And we cannot be a strong opposition if we're trying to tear out each other's throats. It just makes no goddamn sense. Beefs, egos, this shit needs to be set aside. And the shit that I listened to today just exasperates. I can't speak certain words. My lips don't let me. It's making it a lot worse. Exacerbates. My lips don't like me to do certain words. I know the word. I just can't say the word. The bane of my existence. And it's not even really my lips. It's the fighting I've done. I've got some scars on my lips that fuck shit up. Back when I was a young buck coming up thinking I was badass. You know, that whole male culture. So yeah, I want to look at this. I'm not, you know, I've had my experience with the Groypers. Now, I didn't talk about it too much. I didn't give them much fuel, but it was some scary shit, bro. Nick Fuentes, huge audience. Didn't like what I had to say about Nick Fuentes. I'm not a big channel, and I've got literal neo-Nazis threatening me with my address and where my kid goes to school. Like, yeah, literal neo-Nazi. It was scary. Not after that shit again. But I try to call a spade, and right now, what should be most important is defeating fascism. We're never going to do anything about what's happening in Gaza. God damn, what the fuck? Just leave me alone. Some little bug. So, like, where I live now is a very, very old house. The windows, I am finding out, are very old windows, and shit gets in here. And I'm not used to that. I'll have to get used to that. And it's getting cold outside, so everything's trying to come inside. So, yeah, we have a lot of stink bug infestation going on, and whatever was flying around my head can leave me alone. So, I mean, I'm just calling what I think is a spade. Disagree with me. Put it in the comments. Hell, you probably might even change my mind. But I think that there's plenty of blame to go around on both sides. it's getting fucking out of hand. People are threatening people with, addresses. Hassan and Destiny's been at each other's throats for fucking 2 years now. Hassan and Ethan Klein at each other's throats over Gaza. People are going after Kyle Kalinske. The chorus scandal's blowing up. And this conversation that we're going to be listening to today, if you haven't listened to it, it's a bunch of moderates talking about the chorus conversation. Now, I have a lot of opinions on that, but I think I'll save it for the stream. I have a lot of opinions that probably a lot of lefties wouldn't agree with. I mean, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. What I think is a big deal is the dark money one, and the reactions that some of these people are having are very disappointing. I don't just listen to lefty content. I listen to all content. It's really hard to listen to right-wing content. I'll do it now, if I'm going to respond to something, but I used to listen to right-wing talk radio all the time. I used to listen to Rush. I used to listen to Know Thy Enemy. I stopped because it was just, even before Trump, it was just getting so bad. It was getting too hard to listen to. But when it comes to, left-wing media, I don't just stop at people that agree with me 100%. I like to watch a wide range. I'll watch a Brian Tyler Cohen. I just can't speak at all today, I guess. I like to watch a David Pacman. Even though they're liberals, they're moderates, they're not going to have my politics at all. But that's okay, as long as they have enough that are close enough we can work together. And as long as they're not racist pieces of shit. As long as they're not bigots and sex offenders, which is important. So, this shit kind of drove me crazy today while I was at work. Oh, and by the way, I didn't get in any fucking trouble at work, so I always worry about losing my job. I think it's because I'm just so poor. If you lose your job, it's just so life-wrenching. It's hard to explain it. All right, let's get into this.
I am your host, Riley Grace Rochong, and these are our wonderful panelists. Say hi, wonderful panelists.
Hi, wonderful panelists.
Hi. Let's go ahead and have our panelists briefly introduce themselves.
Yeah, my name's Z, and I'm the founder of the Unfuck America Tour / National Ground Game that's taking on Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA.
Hi, I'm Destiny. I stream politics and video games and random stuff sometimes. And I do, center, left, whatever. Yeah.
I'm the Soy Pill. I make video essays and I stream politics sometimes.
I'm Ann. I go by Leftist Blondie online. I am working with the Unfuck America Tour at the moment. That's my current project. I work with Planned Parenthood Generation Action as well at a university in northern Florida.
Howdy, I'm having technical difficulties. I'm Joel of Politics. I'm on YouTube. I do a YouTube Shorts call-in show with a real phone number. So I get the wildest callers you could possibly imagine. Thank you for having me. I'll be right back when I fix my camera. Thank you.
Mine wasn't working too. I unplugged and plugged it back in. I know that's very condescending advice, but it worked.
Cool. You can figure that out, but thank you so much for being here. Next, we got Wick.
Yeah, Wick from Wick TV.
Cool. Vincent.
Hello.
All right, now Wick, he's a person I've listened to a couple times. Always thought I liked him. Listened to him today, I wanted to tear his fucking throat out. I'm just like, what is wrong with you? I'm not a leftist like Hassan Piker, but fuck, even I'm dude, are you paid by AIPAC? What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you paid by the Republican Party? Why not just be a Republican? I don't know, but I'll save it for the stream. Man, this shit drove me crazy today.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Destiny and DGG. Hello, Ann. Hello, Counterpoints. I'm Vincent. My handle everywhere is Real Visigoth. It's RealVisigoth. It's everywhere. It's YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So I usually do pro-Ukraine content with occasional politics. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, hi, my name's Connor. I'm a science fiction political philosophy nerd, Marine Corps law enforcement veteran, never Trump Republican, and somebody who's trying to help the Democrats be less stupid with mixed results.
Hey, yeah, I'm Corbin Sales. I do YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You can find me all there. I do center left content, videos, TikTok debates. Yeah, that about covers my.
Hey, I'm North. I'm a Never Trump Republican, center right. So if you're to the left of me, you have a reason to hate me, and if you're to the right of me, you have a reason to hate me. You can find me on X at That Guy's North, and you can find me on YouTube at North Is Live.
I'm online at Sheets.
You know, I do have to say, you know, get my biases out front. I do find moderates to be, I don't know, like an enigma to me. It's like choose your stance, like make your stance. Like why have both? Why have feet in both parties? Why have feet in both political philosophies? Like I don't understand it. You know, I guess at one point in my life I must have been a moderate, but I don't really think so because I don't know. Maybe before 9/11 I was a moderate, maybe, but I don't think so. I think I was more probably. I was coming from hard right and trying to find myself in a new politic, which hard right back then was probably moderate Republican today. So I guess by today's standards, I was definitely a moderate for the first part of my life. But I don't know. Just biases out front. Like I'm going to try to be fair during this and give my honest opinions on it. But I just think they're doing what the Democratic Party's always done to us, and it's why they're seeing like the animosity they are from the lefties. Now like tankies and I don't know, revolutionaries. I would have plenty of issues. Like I'm against authoritarianism, just period. You know, I don't know. Like I'm redefining like my own politics at the moment. You know, deciding how far I want to go with the socialist philosophy. But my biases towards moderates, I think, have always been fairly apparent about. Like on both sides of it, it's just you know, make your stance in life. I don't understand not doing that, I guess.
Right show, center left. I hate internet cancer. You can also stop real cancer by donating to St. Jude's.
Hey, what's up? I'm
I agree with that. Most don't want to be extreme either way.
Host No Echo Chambers pod.
I mean, what is extreme? Again, like you have to choose your boundaries, because most people would say like any socialist philosophy at all is extreme, but I would like highly disagree with that. I think recognizing when you're dipping your toes in extremism and pulling back is quite okay. I think dipping your toes in extremism could be healthy for everybody, but you know, you have to define your political boundaries, and mine is hard stop, no authoritarianism at all, and it's something that I struggle with, honestly, because I honestly think that in order to solve the problem of fascism in America, you're going to have to be kind of authoritarian towards those fascists. Like the only way you're going to really get rid of it is to get rid of them, you know. And I'm not talking like execute or anything. I'm talking like prison. you know, like we watched CJ Cox yesterday talk about banning transgenders. Well, like the real problem in this country is white fascists, and not just white fascists, because there's plenty of them. You know, MAGA seems to have drawn in some other elements as well, but fascist. So, but again, I'm against authoritarianism. I don't think I could agree with that solution. You should be able to defeat bad ideas with good ideas. You should be able to convince people of bad ideas. But I think that we are clearly finding out that that's not true. It's a paradox. Can you only defeat fascism with fascism? And if so, then are you not now the ones needing to be locked up yourselves? Right? So it's a fucking paradox, man. It's why you don't travel down these slippery slopes, Republicans. It's why you don't travel down these slippery slopes.
Here on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And my show basically talks to all different kinds of people to understand their point of view. I am a big fan of human rights. So if you support human rights, then you should watch my show. And if you don't, then you can f off.
Great. Thank you all so much for being here. And with that, we're going to get right into it. So basically, I'm not going to read the whole spiel that I posted online. We're here to talk about the Taylor Lorenz article and the recent dark money discourse. And so really the main questions are, what do we make of everything that's been happening? Is there any merit to Taylor's claims? Is it possible that she was acting with malice or at least negligently? And what do we think of efforts like what Chorus is undertaking, such as funding smaller creators and helping them grow their platform? How we're going to do this?
So they're seeing this as some kind of attack on the Democratic Party, on I guess moderate centrism as a whole, which is fucking preposterous. If you just think about it, it's often if you're getting really defensive about something, there's probably something there, right? The whole chorus thing, I don't know the ins and outs of it. I haven't read the article. I've just seen the chirping about it. And it seems like people are being really defensive about it. And it seems to me like a simple issue that could have been solved a long time ago with full disclosure. I don't know why you wouldn't want full disclosure. I don't see anything wrong with trying to build up a left, quote unquote, like they want to call themselves the left, but seem to hate the left. You want to build up a left media hemisphere to actually compete with the broadcast right hemisphere. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just be honest about it. When you're hiding shit and it takes like a reporter months of investigation to reveal the shit you're hiding, well, then maybe you shouldn't have been hiding it. And these people, I don't know about all of these people. Some of these people on this panel are rich people. They're very wealthy people. David Pacman, Brian Tyler Cohen, these are very wealthy people. And if you're taking this money, especially when there's this division when it comes to genocide, the optics are horrible. And when you're getting defensive, the optics get even more horrible.
Is I'm going to go around and ask people in the same order, one by one, to give an opening statement. There's a lot of us, so we're not going to be able to probably get to everybody. So once someone finishes their opening, I'll ask anyone if they want to respond to anything that the person who just spoke said. And
this
if they
gets
do, we'll let
vicious.
conversation roll from there.
Fucking vicious.
So with that, Z, I think that you have a really interesting perspective on this. So would you be interested in giving kind of your thoughts on the matter?
Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot. Okay.
If you don't want to, that's totally fine.
Oh. Well, I'm just like curious, how many people are like, is everybody in the center left position here? Or
I try
just to make it more interesting.
I think so. I think this might be kind of boring conversation. I think everyone's like.
I'll make sure it's not boring.
I'm not
Don't
sure.
worry. I'll start fighting you.
Yeah,
if you guys
I'm center right, but I think I'm going to agree with most of y'all. So.
Jesus.
I'm a little bit further left than center left, but I'm not like a leftist or a communist or anything.
We wouldn't get any like fascists or tankies in here.
We need some tankies in here to spice it up.
I can be your fascist for the evening. I got you perfectly covered. I can steel man the opposite argument if you want.
So let me say, all right, I will put out there, I tried hard to get like the.
So right there, like I think the one dude was saying fascist as in a MAGA guy, I think, but Connor like counterpoints. He's saying like leftists are fascists. How can you defeat fascism in America when you're calling your own side fascist? Which Connor counterpoints is a Republican. He's just a never Trump Republican. He infuriates me. Like, I see the importance of getting these never Trumpers, right? But the never Trumpers have got to see the importance of like compromising their bullshit to get rid of fascism. Like, we should, as leftists, we shouldn't be compromising, even as a moderate leftist, liberal, you shouldn't be compromising your values. Like I'm old enough to remember, and I've been using that term a lot. I need to find a different term, but I am old enough to remember when the Republican Party before Donald Trump was fucking awful, right? Like, they aren't great people, you know. Like, they've got really horrible fucking ideas, especially when it comes to poor people, gay people, black people, fucking transgender people. Like, these are not great people. Yeah, come on board, help us defeat fascism. And then we'll go back to the old school arguments of telling you how you're bad people. Like, come on. I mean, like, when you're wanting to align with the almost fascist because, you know, the lefties are calling you out on your bullshit, like, it seems like it's a you problem.
Farther left people, I went on TikTok and I was able to get a couple of them the other day. I did try to, all right? So this is my best efforts, all right?
Yeah, I reached out to like
to fight because I'll give you something to fight.
I reached out to like 3 or 4 people too. No progressive far left person wanted to join. It was really irritating.
I'll give you guys the thing to fight.
I'll be
even if we have to
How about that?
May I?
Go for it.
So
Connor.
Wick and I were in.
Like, why would anybody want to be ambushed by you? I don't know. Like, lefties aren't really given space in the Democratic hemisphere or the moderate hemisphere. And it doesn't seem like why would they? What do they need to say? They weren't taking money from chorus. And it's not a problem that you're taking money from chorus. The problem is the dark money. The problem is the money that's coming from places you don't know where it's coming from. And the problem is that, like, if they are telling you what you need to say, you know, I don't think that there's real evidence of that. Like, I watched an interview or listened to an interview with Taylor Lorenz. She's not saying that. So, like, it seems like I understand why they're angry, right? I live in Michigan. Forced the vote cost Kamala Michigan. It did. I don't really think that there's any way you can say it didn't. And I took a lot of flack from people in this state and my friends in these social media communities for saying, like, you know, lefties, you need to kind of get over Kamala's silence on Gaza because Trump is going to be so much worse. And that's the thing, like, you know, these people and their stance on Gaza, it's like trying to pretend it's not a genocide when we know like Trump is planning the resort for when they're all gone. Like, and when the base is not with the genocide, when the vast majorities of Democrats are not with the genocide, but you're still taking this really hard stance of like being pro-genocide, it's like, well, why? And they're gonna like. It seems very. It seems very Trumpy. It seems very Trumpy, and I'm talking a lot. And this is a long video. We need to watch it, but it seems very Trumpy. And in fact, like it's like Destiny's literally gonna be arguing that we need to be like left MAGA. Now, I believe that we should be playing, you know, using the same rules as we play the same game, but we shouldn't be left MAGA. Like that's preposterous. They're delusional. We are not. No, we have to have our own strategy, just utilizing the same rules. Why do the stupid shit that they're doing? It doesn't make any sense, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
Involved in the PV drama last year, 2 years ago, effectively where we were accused of the same thing, of being involved with dark money, and it was opaque and nobody knew who the funders were and all that kind of crap. We were stuck into the same thing, okay? Now, what I think was Beckett of Crabbe's criticism, which I think is the strongest criticism available, is that this should be made as transparent as possible. And effectively, everybody should be broadcasting whether or not they're getting paid, because, of course, that's going to, you should be honest with your biases and transparent with your biases. And I think that, like, one video, one advertisement, one website that nobody has heard of, that's insufficient for the audience to not feel like they're getting tricked.
Now, real quick, I did say, like, counterpoints usually pisses me off, but it's actually counterpoints that I think is one of the few voices of reasons in this conversation.
And so as a result, I think that it's incumbent upon creators to transparently communicate who they're working with and why, who's paying them and why, and what their deliverables are. Otherwise, we're going to have this discourse another dozen times over the next 2 years.
I can
go for it.
I was gonna say I can agree with that, Connor, but I think when it pertains to specifically the chorus drama, it seems like everything was pretty open and relatively transparent about, like, who was receiving money. Like, I don't think they denied not receiving money from the 1360 fund.
1630.
1630. Or 16, yeah, whatever.
Well, I mean, that was the whole thing. Like, nobody was saying they were taking, as far as I understand, nobody was saying they were taking this money. Nobody knew they were getting this money until the article broke. And it's one of the things, like, Taylor Lorenz doesn't understand. It's a really good point. Like, if they wanted to kill her article, and they could have, all they had to do was announce the program, but they didn't. And so I mean, I don't know. It seems real like the justifications here are really weak.
Was anybody was anybody here in the chorus group or no?
I'm not.
No.
No.
Yeah,
we should have got like inside.
Disclosures. If somebody wants disclosures to happen, then somebody needs to change the laws around either mainstream media, alternative media, or all media that covers politics in the U.S., where everybody's forced to disclose. I don't think that it's fair or reasonable to demand some. No offense, but some content creator getting paid like $800 a month net, like from all of his earnings, to have to disclose that he's like a bought and paid for dark money shill. Wow, people like Taylor Lorenz or the Majority Report or other people can run around raising however much money from the background.
What's up, Robin?
Disclose any of their income sources, not revealing any, but like that's. It's either all or nothing. So when all of these other content creators are publicly making like disclosures, not that I have to go dig for, because remember we said it's not enough for them to say one thing at one point. Until that's happening, then the standards need to be the same, or not at all.
Can we look? I just want to say just real quick, the fact. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, wait, then Anne.
Sure. We should not be treating these as honest criticisms. Let's be clear. The people who are attacking Chorus, 90% of them are not honest in their criticisms. They're demanding a transparency that works one way. So I just
like prove that. Like it's just like you're saying that, but I mean, I don't know. From what I've watched, they're talking to the journalists. It seems like the people that aren't being honest are the people freaking out about it. And it doesn't even seem like it's something that should have been freaked out about. I don't understand the freak out about it. Yeah, like I don't. Wit drives me insane in this conversation, and usually he's somebody that I enjoy listening to.
To look at this and try to kind of try to tackle it as if they're being good faith, I think is a mistake. We just need to realize that these people, Taylor Lorenz, the Vanguard, all these fucks, they are active enemies to liberalism and the Democratic Party, and we should treat
enemies to liberalism and the Democratic Party. Like, seriously? It doesn't seem like it's the Democratic Party catching heat from the Chorus scandal. It seems like it's some independent media figures, right? Like, huh? And this has been their sentiment ever since they cheated Bernie. Like Bernie Sanders coming along with a progressive message about, working people are struggling. We're struggling out here. We can't feed our families. We go to work for nothing. Nothing. We don't get to sit here and do this all day, buying whatever the fuck we want off of Amazon Prime or whatever. We work for nothing. And we're the enemy. No, you can think whatever you want about some of the extreme positions people take. Like I don't think people should be promoting Hamas. You know, like I think that's stupid. But to call them enemies of the Democratic Party, no, they're your enemies because they're exposing your people, I guess. It makes no fucking sense. How are you going to defeat fascism when you want to lock up all your activists? Who do you think is out there activated? It ain't the fucking moderates. It ain't been the moderates the last 20, 30 fucking years. So we're good enough to fight your battles in the streets, but we're not to be a part of your party. We can bleed for you, but we can't be with you. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. That's ridiculous. It's equally as ridiculous for leftists to be saying we shouldn't have a broad tent to defeat fascism. It's equally but it's worse because I don't hear leftists saying you shouldn't be part of the party. They're just saying you're not leftist because you're not. Well, what the fuck is this? How can we defeat fascism when we're tearing out each other's throats? Like, I said, this shit infuriated me today.
Them as such.
We're only 8 minutes in.
Contend with the fact that 10%. We just had this debate maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago with Sock Done Left, right? Not Sock Done Left. Sorry.
Yeah, not Sock Done Left. That's his name.
I'm
right?
being racist against socialists. Econoboy. So we just had this conversation with Econoboy a little bit ago, okay? And his point though is that 10% of the Democratic Party identifies as quote unquote very liberal, which I'm assuming means progressive because nobody knows what words means anymore. And then 10% of the party, additional 10% of the party identifies as socialists. Now, let's be real. You know, they also don't know what socialism means. They probably just means the Scandinavians. But at the same time, like if we have 12, liberals and progressives in a single chat who are all saying like 20% of the party, we don't need them to win. I think you're kind of
I'm going to turn off my camera for a minute. I'll comment if I need to. I'm going to let it play for a second, but I'll be right back.
Delusional. This is where I told Steven, like, I think we need a center-left, center-right coalition. And he's like, nah, the liberals have it. And I was like, I think that's hubris.
We just need a coalition big enough to defeat Trump, and we don't need we could if we get the far left in our coalition, great. If we get the center right, great.
What's up, Dwayne?
Need to win.
But you need to market to those people. And by the way, you have ineffective marketing because I'm saying shut up about guns, and yet Adam Kinzinger, the Republican who was a Never Trump Republican, probably the best example of a Never Trump Republican, after the most recent mass shooting, he was talking about gun control. So the marketing sucks, probably because he's going to be a Democrat in the next year.
People love guns here in America. We need to be able to market to them. You're not going to win elections saying no guns. You just won't.
I need to talk about this disclosure thing that Destiny mentioned because I didn't think I'd be arguing on this side of things. I'm very much anti this article and have a bunch of evidence, and that's why I came prepared to talk about. But the idea that disclosure matters and it's this zero-sum game, like we all have to do it or none of us have to do it. The reason that people are upset about this, and I think this is okay to be upset about, regardless of why this upsetness might come from misleading or kind of not so true claims, is that I'm echoing on your side. Can you please mute?
So, and they've already mentioned it, but what these people really don't like Hassan Piker and the Vanguard. They don't like Sam Cedar too. They're going to talk shit about the Majority Report, but they really don't like the Vanguard. And, you know, I've had some issues with some of their coverage, you know, but they're younger, and they probably got the vibe on, you know, the youth left movement and what the youth left movement cares about, right? And honestly, like, I think they've been pretty spot on when it comes to TYT. You know, I'm 48 years old, so yeah, some of the shit gets a little out there for me, but you know, they seem like good kids who have good intentions at heart, and they're just basically what the left has started to do is hold liberals accountable as liberals have held the left accountable, right? So the Force the Vote movement cost Kamala here in Michigan, but at the same time, when do we get to have our voice heard? How many fucking presidents, how many Republicans are so fucking bad that we have to vote with you when you don't give us anything? If the Democratic Party is not going to represent the working people, then why not just call it the old Republican Party? If the Democratic Party is going to be for the billionaires and not for the working people who is their constituency, who is their base, then why should we vote for them? These are all very wealthy people sitting in their privilege, and it's infuriating.
Thank you. Is that basically there's this aura of authenticity that comes from some of these creators, and if it comes out that you were not disclosing that you were paid by people, even though that probably, in my opinion, doesn't change your opinions, it does hurt your credibility with your audience. As far as I know, Majority Report completely discloses all of their funding as advertisers because they read them on the show. I don't know if they get that.
Yeah, I mean, gun control. So I've always been a big advocate for gun control, and you know, there's talk that they're going to be banning transgenders from firearms, and if they do, then I think we need to push it. We need to ban guns because they clearly don't care about their interpretation of the Second Amendment anymore. So if they want to set this precedent, let them. But all that being said, being a very staunch, you know, advocate for gun control in America myself. Here, and I'm just smoking weed. I just don't like to do it on, even though it's legal, I don't like to do it on camera, but I'll turn it on for this. Let me see. Where's it at? It's right there. Right now, I don't think it's a good idea. Even with the mass shootings, you know, even with the Russian roulette that I play every day by sending my daughter to a public school, it's just not a good idea when fascism is taking over America. Isn't this why we still have guns, is for when fascism tries to take over America? So, I mean, it seems like, you know, all them Second Amendment tyranny haters are falling in line with the tyranny, which is unfortunate. But I think it would be a very bad idea right now to do any gun control until we get the fascists out of power.
Backdoor funding, maybe they do. But I think people are just kind of scrambling to say, hey, if you get funding, please just let me know. Now, I don't think that's the goal of this article. I think this article goes way further and makes a bunch of dishonest claims that are like, hey, people were being paid to toe the party line. People were changing their opinions. The 1630 Project itself is a dark money fund insofar as a lot of their donors don't disclose. A lot of them do, including one of the donors who gave money to Taylor Lawrence's reporter cohort. And they also make it part of their mission to make it illegal to not disclose your donations. So it's kind of funny that at all this is a controversy, especially because I learned that from the article link. But insofar as people want people to disclose, I think that's a very valid concern to have.
I think the problem with demanding disclosure is, one, I'm sure we'll get into this later, I don't even believe that dark money is a real term. I think it was like a fictitious term that people throw around because it sounds spooky. But two,
like, that doesn't even make sense. Dark money is a real term. It's money that you don't know where it comes from. It's dark. It's a real fucking, like, I don't, that's what I'm saying. Like, whatever you think about Destiny, you have to give Destiny, you know, his intelligence, and he's just too smart to really think that, right? And that leads me to think, like, if he's not being paid by Chorus, and I don't think that any evidence suggests that he is, like, he is deeply in line with some kind of narrative that he feels he needs to speak, because that just doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
Like earlier,
just like
I think
his stance on Gaza and how it's seemed to have, like, I don't know, he might have always been pro-Israel, but I seem to remember him, especially like a year ago, saying that Netanyahu is a little too Zionist for me, and like really not as gung-ho as he seems to be now. It's I don't know, I don't get it.
I was the one who brought up the idea that, like, the disclosure can't just be one time, because people are going to say, oh, well, we didn't see that. You can go to the Majority Report sponsor page and see sponsors, but, like, I mean, I don't know how much each of these people give, right? Like, let's say hypothetically on the sponsor page for the Majority Report, what if all of these sponsors gave $100 a month, but Liquid IV gives $10,000 a month? And let's say that, you know, the Majority Report ends up taking a strange, you know, like vaccine position. And if I would have found out that Liquid IV, which I'm guessing is like some supplement vitamin thing, was donating so much, well, maybe that would change the way how I feel about their coverage, you know, and it might, you know, and it would for some people. So like this, again, like if we're going to do disclosures, it needs to be standardized.
I want to be clear.
Yeah, okay.
I agree with this completely, because a lot of the criticism, especially that I've been getting DMs is, oh, they didn't disclose it enough, or, oh, they disclosed it on this stream, but not as a video. And the idea that we should be saying the exact denominations of every amount from every single person, I think is really ridiculous. I think it's totally fine to just say, hey, I'm working with these people. Sometimes they help me out. That's all that needs to happen. The drummed up controversy stuff is overblown for sure. But I don't think that it is a wrong concern to say people should disclose that I'm working with this group and maybe they pay me. But
we're talking about
transparency people are demanding is a little ridiculous.
We're talking about like a 6-month cohort, right? And I want to ask Z to explain what a 501c4 is, but in a 6-month cohort, that's not any way tied to someone's profession or like a long-term financial ties to help young creators get off the ground. And we keep on missing that point, the 501c4 designation. And it's actually crazy right now too, because the Trump IR...
Oh, thought I had it unmuted. The bearded dude on top, who is weirdly like wearing some kind of gas mask right now, that's Connor from Counterpoints. The bearded dude on the bottom is Wit. He's like a Destiny guy. And something that you're going to notice, something that I noticed in this conversation, Destiny's people are going to be a lot harder on the leftists, which, except for like this person right here, I'm not sure if she's a Destiny person, but like Wit, the girl from the Unfucked tour, those are going to be like the hardest with Destiny, like, because they're like pretty much their argument is like leftists need to not be in the Democratic Party, which, you know, is kind of insulting considering I've voted Democrat since I could vote. You know, thankfully when I was a Republican, I wasn't of voting age, so I never got to vote Republican, and by 18 I was definitely probably no longer a Republican. And yeah, like when I first voted, like my first vote I do believe was Bill Clinton's second term, and I voted for Bill Clinton. So I'm pretty sure. I'd have to do my math, but I would have voted for Bill Clinton his first term too, because my parents actually liked Bill Clinton. It's why like my dad being uber MAGA now is like kind of ridiculous. My stepmom really liked him because he played the saxophone. So Wit, Destiny's people are going to be hardcore, expelling from the Democratic Party. These are not our allies, these are our enemies, and that's just fucking crazy. We can have our disagreements, right? And you know, when the left talks about casting a protest vote, we're not voting against you. You know, we're just saying, hey, we want our people to have a chance too, because they never get a chance. And you fucked Bernie twice. You fuck our people every time. It's like, we're not allies if you never treat us as allies. And they're gonna bitch and moan like why should we go and build bridges with the left? Well, because, motherfuckers, you have been pushing us away forever. The moment I stepped outside of being a liberal, my local Democratic Party didn't want me no more. They weren't trying to get me to run for seats and shit like they had been doing before. Which, I mean, I think I've talked about this. Like, my dream was always to be a politician. Like, I loved politics from a very young age. It's been a passion of mine from a very young age, and at a very young age, I committed felonies. So even though, like, I could have pursued a career, I could have never been a politician. At least I didn't think so. I didn't think I'd ever be able to win a fucking election as a convicted felon at the age of 17 years old. So yeah, shit. To think of that, like, I didn't even get to vote in my first election. I was in prison. Come to think of it. So I wonder, because I think I remember voting for Bill Clinton. I'll have to do the math. Yeah, because I definitely didn't get to vote when I was in prison. And I turned 18 in prison. Or I think I was in jail. Maybe. But I still didn't get to vote. It's like, when do we get our say? Right? And for one, like, if people were disclosing it, it wouldn't be a scandal. The fact that the scandal is they weren't disclosing it. Now, I'm not really sure that they, outside of the dark money, as long as they got to put out their own content, or as long as they agreed with the content they were putting out, like they weren't grifting, I don't mind, like, sponsorships or a program like this. Like I said at the very beginning of all of this, I think that that's probably kind of important considering the monolith that is the right independent media. It's a fucking monolith. Like, motherfuckers be leaving their cush journalist jobs to do the right independent media because there's more money and you can say pretty much whatever the fuck you want. So, I mean, but to pretend there's not a scandal, like, this could have all went away if they just came out and said, you know what, that's fucked up. You know, we weren't really thinking about shit. We were trying to do a good thing and we did it in a bad way. And moving forward, we're not going to do it in a bad way anymore. Fucking problem solved, bro. It would have been over with. It's this fucking reaction that's just making it worse. And the fact that you're going to, like, expel us, the actual left, from the only fucking representation of the left that we have that's supposed to represent workers, that is fucking insulting. And I've been a person that has been sitting here telling people, or not, like, I just started doing it recently, but I've been telling people, like, no, bro, like, we've got to, like, overlook shit. But, like, this is fucking insulting. Like, it infuriated me.
IRS is going to be going after 501c3s and C4s that do work they don't like. So this is also putting them in the sights of the Trump admin, I'm sure. But can you explain, Z, a little bit about, like, how the C4 functions? Because I don't think people know.
Yeah, so I mean, the C4 basically can, like, legally engage directly with a campaign, whereas C3 cannot. So that's why a lot of people choose to do C4s, which makes sense. So this whole idea of just like, oh, we'll just get rid of them. Well, then you can't do, like, direct campaign work. So that's just
Wait, hold on, wait.
I would think.
C4s?
C4s, yeah.
I thought they
can engage it.
I thought the point of the C4s is the C4s have to be set up as, like, social welfare nonprofits, basically. So the advantage is that they can raise basically an infinite amount of money. A C4 and a C3 doesn't have to do FEC filings, and the C4s, the people that donate to them, if they get money from like a corporation, like a shell corporation, obviously those people don't have to do disclosures or whatever. But I thought the C4s were still. Are they allowed to do direct work by the campaigns? Is that only prohibited by, like, the 527s or?
So C4s can, but and obviously people would have different reasons for setting them up, right?
Uh-huh.
So, like, that's obviously going to be, like,
I forgot my camera was
a big
still
reason why they might choose that. But as far as I'm aware, C4s can engage in political campaigns directly, whereby C3s cannot.
Gotcha. Okay, for the C4, is it?
Turn it off again. Stop it.
Funding has to go to some social welfare thing, and then some other percentage can go directly for campaigns. Is that how I don't know what counts as, like, a social welfare thing?
It's not necessarily about that. It's just about like whether they can engage directly with the campaign or not. So how they split up the funding doesn't matter, but like a C3, you can't, for example, call a campaign manager on a campaign and say like, hey, we're going to go do this field program. Like you can't do that.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
a C4, yeah. So a lot of people
But they can't.
And imagine that. Like I probably disagree with her on a lot of issues, right? Like she's a liberal, she's a moderate. I am way far lefter than that. I'm trying. When I say I'm trying to hem in my leftism, I'm like, I'm drawing a hard line on any authoritarian bullshit. But I'm like, there's plenty of authoritarian bullshit going in each and every workforce in America, each and every job site, each and every factory. I mean, Americans are free until the moment they punch that time clock. And they're not free again until the moment they punch out. It's just a fact. So I would probably disagree with her on quite a lot. But I can trust what she's telling me here. Because she has experience doing that shit. Like I said, she runs the Unfuck America tour. And whatever you think about Destiny, like they're doing some pretty good fucking work. You have to give them their due. Just got to get over your fucking egos, man. Ego is a killer. Take up some philosophical Buddhism. You don't have to like believe in it. Just realize ego. Like I know I've been there. My ego ruled me too. And I struggle with it still. But once you realize the enemy for what it truly is, then you can combat it. But until you realize what the enemy is what it truly is, and the enemy isn't Hassan Piker, it's not the Vanguard, it's not, Sam Cedar, it's not Emma Vigland. It's your own ego getting in your way. That's all. All you had to say is, "Oh, my bad, bro. Sorry. We were trying to do something good. We'll be better moving forward." That's all. That's all you had to do. Pac-Man saying they're trying to destroy like one of our few and strongest true journalists we have out there, Taylor Lorenz. Like seriously, she does good work. Gonna sue her, like again, like these are rich people. Are you so bought into like the party line that you forget that it's supposed to be about the worker? It's supposed to be about the average American, It's supposed to be about equality, not those donors. Moderates really hate when you talk about the donors. And I have to wonder why. Like, why is that a betrayal of the Democratic Party to talk about the donors?
They can't spend on electioneering, right? So they can't like say we're working on behalf of a campaign. So like if they do 60% work for the public good and then 40% work politically, they can put an ad out that says like, "Oh, I'm anti Elon Musk and his Doge department ripping apart the federal government." But they can't say I'm doing this on behalf of the Cory Booker campaign, right? I'm pretty sure.
Basically. So like they can, for example, like if you had like a slate of candidates that you endorsed, right? And it was based on environmental justice, like all these candidates believe in some form of environmental justice. You're an environmental justice organization. You can still campaign on that behalf, right? Like you're allowed to do that, but you cannot directly coordinate with the campaigns.
501c4s have more political leeway because they're supposed to be primarily social welfare organizations, but they've argued that as long as their primary purpose is still social welfare, they can be engaged politically to the ends of furthering that social welfare cause.
Do we think that's bad?
No.
Does anyone think that's bad?
I got a spicy opinion. Maybe this will change things up.
Well, I mean, I think there are things that can be bad about that, right? I feel like the issue is people get like really hung up on the dark money or the sourcing, but I feel like the issue is the fact that the C4 can raise an infinite amount of money, right? There's not like a contribution limit And I think that's the issue that people have, right? So if I wanted to support, there's like a pro-vaccine candidate and an anti-vaxxer candidate, I'm FEC Campaign Contribution Limited on donating to them, or like a 527 PAC. But if there was a C4, 501c4 company that was like, oh, we hate vaccines, I could raise $100 trillion with that and just spend on anti-vaccine messaging that's ostensibly or basically supporting one candidate. So I think that's like the weird thing about it, right? Is that you can raise basically an infinite amount of money for it.
But what is entirely negative about that? If a group of people want to get together and raise funds and pool their resources in order to advocate for a cause, why should there be a cap on that? If we have 100 million people in the United States that each want to give $1 to vaccine awareness or something, right? And a cause that they believe in, why should the government or the federal government step in and say, no, I don't think you can do that in this case?
I mean, because
I
that
have
way
a very
the
good
people
pushback
just
against
be
this,
the
but I need to
people
ask
making
before
laws.
I start going on the other side of this argument: is anyone here pro the article, or are we all on the same page?
Nah, fuck
I
that.
think we're all on this.
Okay, hold on. I have a
We're just
question.
getting into
We shouldn't do it because it gets abused. We shouldn't do it because we don't have our government anymore. Our government is bought and paid for. And I think it matters, like it seems like it would be very easy to me to regulate one from the other, right? Like, it's like if you have 100 million people donating $1 is different than 4 people donating $100 million apiece, right? It's very different because now you're beholden to those 4 people, to where one person donating $1, yeah, you're beholden to the ideals and you will be held accountable. That's, Fetterman, hasn't had an easy time with it. But when it comes to like billionaires, that's a different story. These people actually have the power, the capital, and the capacity to fuck your life up. It's like I said, it's all like a false equivalence, and this is his argument for Citizens United being a justified ruling. And it's like, are we for a Democrat? Like, are the moderates for a Democratic Party that is for the wealthy over the worker? Because if that's the Democratic Party, then I can't be a part of the Democratic Party anymore, and I can no longer vote for them. And fascism will take over. If that's the argument, I can't. It's like, if you don't want my vote, if you're not going to try to get my vote with at least placating to me that the worker is on the agenda, then go fuck yourself, my dude. Like, seriously. Why should we work with you? Why should there be a single leftist in that fucking room to be ambushed by this nonsense? What kind of you're good with the Democratic Party as is? Huh? Like, the Democratic Party as is basically the 80 Republicans. That's not left. It's infuriating. It's fucking infuriating. And you're gonna see, like, you're starting to see a little bit of division. Like, some people are like, "Wait a minute, bro. This is like what?"
like,
I have a question for
Okay,
the panel.
let me, North and then Anne, because I know Anne, you've also been trying to speak a couple times. So North, go ahead.
Okay, so Chorus was like founded.
William, I've done it so many times, bro. Like, I just did it yesterday. Like, we'll do it again, okay? We'll do it again just for you, because you wasn't here. Oh, shit. I didn't want to do that. So now I've got to find that first, because I just got out of my studio. Content. Live. Studio. Banging. Alright. So I'll do it again. Oh, I did it again, didn't I? Yes, I fucking did. Idiot. My camera's like right in the way of that, so I don't see can't quite see what I'm doing. I should probably fix that. So let's do that one more time, huh? One more time. And then I'll do it again. Probably. Where am I going? Boom, live. Studio. Alright. We should be good there. Come back on. There you are. Alright. So, I don't want none of those. Definition of fascism. It's pretty cool because now you get all these AI overviews that get pretty in depth with it. Fascism is a far-right political ideology and movement characterized by dictatorial leadership. How is that not Trump? Extreme nationalism. Trump led with that back in 2016. I'm a nationalist. Suppression of opposition. I mean, troops in blue cities, bro. Aiming for national rebirth and often involving militarism. Like, can that even be argued? Like, we're literally, like, are we at war with Venezuela now? I think we might be at war with Venezuela. I think we might be going to war with Mexico. We're going to be going to war with Canada. We're going to be going to war with Greenland. We've got troops in American cities. That's militarism, dog. Social hierarchy. The identification of scapegoats to achieve goals of internal cleansing and external expansion. So, identification of scapegoats to achieve goals of internal cleansing. Like, yeah, I think we do have that going on right now in America. It emerged, and so I mean, yeah. There you go, bro. Just for you. Like, we can go through all of it, like, you know, dive deeper in the AI mode and shit. We can do like true definition. We can do whatever definition you want to do, dog. Like, there's no escaping it. Like, you can just, like, fascists deny fascism, and I've pretty much always assumed my assumptions. So, whatever. Let's get back at it.
To fund specific types of content creators, like those that are more pro-democratic values.
How is he not,
if a
bro?
content creator stopped promoting those values, should it be okay for...
He literally tells the DOJ what to do. He's got the FBI in his pocket now. He's got military in the streets. He literally, like, fucking ignores half of the fucking rulings against him. Like, fascists defend fascism, William.
Chorus to essentially stop funding them, or like threaten to stop funding them.
I mean, yeah.
Why not?
Stephen Miller literally called the Democratic Party domestic terrorists. Trump is constantly talking about locking up Democrat politicians. You guys, don't be delusional. Just don't be delusional. I'm sorry, the definition is what it is. I'm sorry.
Disagree with that?
Because they're paying you the money to do a job, and if you don't do the job, if you quit the job, then why would they continue to pay you?
Well, the content creators, of course, are going out of their way to basically say Course is not funding us to push the party line or anything like that. So
yeah, they're actually not paying you to do a job. They're paying you because they're trying to prop up and spread progressive voices. But they're saying if you use this money to, you know, denounce the people giving you money, you know, you can talk about us, but if you're going to like completely subvert our entire political campaign, then we're going to stop funding you, which makes perfect sense.
I mean, it's you pay them to continue to post progressive pro them. So like, technically, if you stop like being for them, they're not going to continue to.
I think we might be at war with Venezuela now. Did Trump get, you know, Congress approval?
Fund you, and since they pay you the money, they have every right to take it away.
I feel like we've stumbled into the awkward conundrum that is like the 501c4 issue, right? Like what even counts as that? Like, because they're not paying you to make political content. I'm sure they explicitly say that in the contract. They have to because there would be like campaign contribution like issues here. But like they kind of are. right? Like, you know, like if a
Or
boss
freak out.
fires somebody because the person is racist or sexist, oftentimes those firings aren't going to be the boss saying, I'm firing you because I'm racist. I'm firing you because I'm sexist, you know? So it's like the way that these are all structured are kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but it's just like the legal tax slash FEC system we live in right now.
A lot of the people
That's the
think
strongest
that
argument, though, right?
And I agree. If I did say that, like, I assume on my assumptions, that's pretty funny. I can laugh at myself.
There.
Yeah.
So as an example, I think that somebody found a course creator who specifically, was anti-Israel and made anti-Israel content and didn't get fired.
Yeah.
But the indictment was, of course, that like, hey, there could be this soft pressure where you might notice that somebody says, oh, our values are no longer aligned. You're dismissed from this program. And then that becomes a soft pressure in order to quote unquote toe the party line. And that, that's obviously the difficulty with this
So, like, I think this might be the first time I ever listened to Connor, and I was like, yeah, bro. Like, making good points. Usually it makes me mad, which is kind of why I listen to him.
incubator programs is you don't know who's going to be, you don't know who's going to be successful and who's going to be a dirtbag when you start. But that's where, you have that awkward pressure of, I want to do enough to earn my money, but I don't want to step out of line and then lose my contract, especially with smaller creators, right? Because bigger creators can basically do whatever they want because they have enough money to be independent. But with smaller creators,
agree with
who are
that,
coming
William.
up, they're going to be more likely to be sympathetic to their donors.
I mean, except for, like, the activists usually aren't afraid, but activists usually take things too far. I totally agree. Like, people on the left take shit too far. And I think it has cost the Democratic Party pretty heavily. Because the America, I don't know, I laid out my theories on that before. America's like just deeply racist. you tell Americans not to be racist, shit. Sooner or later they're gonna be like, no, we're racist. that's America. It doesn't surprise me.
Desires. That's the
It's
criticism,
not,
right
It's
there.
not just small creators, though. They're also.
But I mean, at the
build
same
people.
time, the left are the ones being aggressive doing that. I mean, they're fighting the battle. It's a hard battle in America to fight. It always has been, always will be, probably. But that doesn't mean you don't fight the battle. So I think leftists are actually the ones that do the groundwork usually. Not too many moderate liberals in Antifa face to face with Nazis. I'm just saying.
From the ground up, right? So, like, these people might not even have a previous audience to like fall back on, like where they started.
The honest
but
worry
you
with
need-
this, just real quick, the honest criticism is that people worry that if you are getting paid by these groups, that you are incentivized not to change your position, even though you might change your position naturally, and that it will stick you in. You say, I can't say anything negative about who I think that Chorus would be mad at me for saying something negative about, so I'm just going to shut up. And I think that that's the most like honest criticism that I've heard of this. But anyway,
I think that's
briefly
a-
cutting in,
Okay.
and sorry, Anne, did you want to say anything? I thought you were trying to jump in a couple of times. I just want to make sure you get an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, I don't even know why conservatives are mad about this, or anyone really who's like libertarian or non-left leaning. Aren't they all for deregulation? Like, if you just want to work somewhere else, like, aren't you just responsible for going and finding another employer? I don't understand this. And the problem with funding things like C4s is that those things have a heavy impact on elections. So it wouldn't be a problem if they're not endorsing or saying they're against some political candidate. I don't know why it just can't be regulated for a C4 and not regulated for others. I don't understand that. Just go find another employer.
So I'm interested sorry, Connor, and we might be of the same mind. I'm interested in having you all explore this a little bit more, what Connor and what Wick and y'all were talking about with the kind of, it's like an audience capture sort of issue, right?
Connor is in a really unique spot here because because you're doing other stuff right now. I feel like there is there's this interesting, a lot of things are repeated when it comes to dark money or when it comes to corporate capture or whatever that are like truisms. But I think that if you ask content creators, you can actually get surprisingly like opposite answers of what people assume to be true. So for instance, there's this idea that if you get paid money from some individual or from some sponsor or whatever, that you're all of a sudden beholden to that person. But I know personally, and I'm not necessarily referring to Connor here, you can speak or anybody else can. Personally, like sometimes when people get huge amounts of money from a sponsor or from some particular person, that actually gives them more freedom to work on a project project, because sometimes you can get hardcore audience captured from like, God, I have to talk about, Hassan again. I have to talk about Gaza. I have to talk about this DNC thing. But like having some sponsors like, oh my God, as long as I hit these activations, like I'm actually free to talk about so many different things. Now, that's not to say that like a sponsor could never pressure you to talk about something or to keep something open. But I don't like the assumption that absent some individual sponsor's pressure, there's no soft pressure, especially today on the internet with cancel culture and, people pressuring people to talk about everything else. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of different pressure that exists, and people need to be a little more honest about, not that you guys are lying, about like what kinds of pressures exist, and that just because there's not a corporate.
My handle everywhere.
I don't know what. I hate that. Let's see, before I do it. It's not going to show me, is it? I always fuck shit up. We'll just move forward somewhere. We were like right around here.
Messaging that's ostensibly or basically supporting one candidate. So I think that's like the weird thing about it, right? Is that you can raise basically an infinite amount of money for it.
But what?
All right, yeah, I think right around there. Whatever. I always do stupid shit. See, looks like we got Smokey Screw up in the house. What's going on? It seems like, again, like this is something that really shouldn't have been a big deal, but I think this response makes it a bigger deal than it would have been. I don't think Taylor Lorenz was like exposing any criminality here. I think it's a story she came across, and she did her due diligence as a journalist, probably. I don't think most journalists don't turn down salacious stories if they have a chance at them, and especially a journalist like her who's known for breaking salacious stories. I think that there probably has been a little, some overreaction from the left because of the personal dramas that's going on. I don't think Destiny's involved, but I think, Destiny's commented on it, and I don't know, like Destiny had involved himself in the Ethan Klein shit, and that brought him on the radar of certain leftists. So it was like, I don't know why like he's choosing to like champion this shit, because it seems like it's making it worse than it should have been. It seems like Brian Tyler Cohen's response made it worse than it should have been. It seems like Pac-Man's response made it worse than it should have been. And they're not the only ones. They're just the ones that I actually watch fairly regularly. At least some of their clips. And this wouldn't have made me not watch them. I would have just understood that they were part of like some moderate coalition, which I think is perfectly fine. I don't really consider myself a member of their audience, so I think it's really up to their audience if that's like a deal breaker or not. It seems like this response is like it's trying to be made into another element of all the other beefs that's going on. And again, I kind of agree with like William's sentiment in the side chat. It's like, whether you want to see Trumpism as fascism or not, right? You're never going to defeat Trumpism if you're at each other's throats. If you don't, like, the only thing that's really going to defeat Trumpism is to kind of expose his fake populism, because most Trumpers think that they're populists, and they're not. Or at least their guy's not. They might be. And if they are, like, if you show them real populism, I think that they'd come on board. I mean, like, even my dad, who's like a hardcore Trumper, will say, like, well, the only Democrat I really like is Bernie Sanders. Like, even my dad. So, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a ridiculous notion that you would want to kind of hold on to the losing politic, that you're going to make like this, you're going to tear out each other's throats when, like, it seems like the people that we should really be trying to stop is those that are in power doing the things that we seem to have big issues with, right? Like if you really, as a leftist, if you really want to like make any kind of change to the situation in Gaza, you're not going to do that with Trump in office. It's not going to happen. He's not going to listen to you. Your only way is to keep talking about Gaza because the base is coming there. And then you elect people that are on board, that are not okay with genocide. Like, it becomes an issue in the primaries. That's how you do it. Having blood feuds with people about it to the point like you're threatening to expose addresses and shit, whatever that's about. It's like, I've been there. I've been in those situations, and it's never worth it. And you just make yourself look like an ass. Which everybody knows I can make myself look like an ass on YouTube. It's my alarm for... Why do I have an alarm for 5 o'clock in the afternoon? I set that for 5 o'clock in the morning. Gotta change that. Alright. We'll get back to this.
What is entirely negative about that? If a group of people want to get together and raise funds,
I gotta have an alarm
and
for
pool
work
their
at 5 in the
resources
morning.
in order to advocate for a cause, why should there be a cap on
I'm
that?
at work
if we
at
have
4 in the
100 million
morning,
people in the United
I
States
gotta
that
do
each want to give a
something
dollar
specific at 5 in the
to
morning.
vaccine awareness or
Every
something,
day.
right? And a cause that they believe in, why should the government or the federal government step in and say, no, I don't think you can do that in this case?
I mean, because
I
that
have
way
a very
the
good
people
pushback
just
against
be
this,
the
but I need to
people
ask
making the
before
laws.
I start going on the other side of this argument: is anyone here pro the article, or are we all on the same page?
Nah, fuck
I think
that.
we're all on this.
Okay,
We'll pass this.
Then we need to sign
We're
off
right
on
here.
it because they can't be represented in a fashion where it's like we are purposely pushing the Democratic Party in this way to support.
Core audience captured from like, God, I have to talk about DNC thing, sure, especially on certain issues.
Piggyback off that.
Yeah, I think
Think for 1 second just about the 501c4 status, though. So if they had a point where they were telling people what to do and how to do it, they would lose their 501c4 status. If that was ever proven that someone got kicked off for not covering a certain topic, or if there's even an idea that was happening, the C4 status kind of protects that from happening. And that's why they have to do more service and do trainings and do it training based and pay people based off doing trainings versus doing like actual pieces for the media.
Well, I'll
Wait,
say.
and then there's this.
No, go
and
ahead.
Sorry,
Connor.
you're saying for regulating a content creator in that way, you're saying that they would lose a C4 status?
100%, because that was tipping. It would be majority political. It would no longer be a public service thing. So that tax exemption status would probably go away. Then they'd probably lose it.
What is majority
The lawyers
political?
are. So like if they were telling someone, that's why when Chorus says you can, if you're speaking on behalf of Chorus or doing something with our materials, then we need to sign off on it because they can't be represented in a fashion where it's like we are purposely pushing the Democratic Party in this way to support Gaza, or this person was working for us and we promised them a training on how to become a creator from the bottom. And we're going to teach them thumbnails and all this kind of stuff. But we found out their position changed on something, so we kicked them out. The whole point of the 501c4 is the majority is the training portion. It's not going to be majority political. If it was majority political, it would need to be a PAC at that point.
Yeah.
There's another thing that can be talked about. This is the dark woke argument. The Heritage Foundation, Turning Point USA, these are MAGA right-wing organizations that basically do what Chorus does, but even worse. I mean, there's a Washington Post article talking about how Turning Point USA was literally directly paying people to promote certain content. Should the Democrats be doing this as a response to the right and as a response to MAGA, or do you take the moral high ground?
I don't know if it's not if
You
it's
go, you absolutely should be
not
paying people
immoral.
to.
It's not immoral, right? I don't think it's immoral to take money, to have someone give you money so you can keep doing what you're already doing. My issues might come, like there might be some issue if people can point out to me where Chorus or any other group is paying people and they're saying, hey, change your content and get your money, right? So change your content. If you can point to me a change in content, if you can point to me where they're getting foreign funding that they're not reporting, so like from Russia or China, I might have an issue there. Or if you can point to me where
I agree
they're
with
saying
that. And I don't think, which I don't really tune into much of what what they call the max left is saying, but I mean, I haven't really heard any, like Taylor Lorenz isn't saying that. Like, they're the only ones that really seem to be saying that. Maybe Hassan. Like, I don't watch Hassan much. I just don't have time, and I'm just not that far left. You know, I'm just not there. But you know, I like some of his content. I really liked his conversations with Andrew Tate. I watch the Vanguard occasionally because, you know, coming up watching TYT, it's been disappointing to see the dissent that they've taken, and the Vanguard speaks to that. But I mean, I don't know much what they're saying about this, but it seems like, I don't know, if I was being attacked because y'all were taking money, I'd probably have issue with it. I'd probably talk about it. And that kind of seems to be what's happening. And again, like, my point is, all right, you can have your personal shit, but like, if you really want to defeat like a movement that's as strong rooted as, I mean, whatever you want to say about MAGA, like, they've got, their roots are dug in, you know, like, well, I don't know about, like, the Epstein thing might be a deal breaker, but at least for some MAGA, but it appears to me like they're pretty dug in. You're not going to defeat something so dug in unless you're dug in yourselves. You know, MAGA, they can disagree with each other and still be a part of a common goal. It's been said for a long time, like, Republicans vote for Supreme Court justices and Democrats vote for causes, and it's I think it's pretty true. And you're not going to defeat a movement like this. It doesn't matter if Trump's leading it. You're not going to defeat MAGA if you're tearing out each other's throats, especially over what seems to be really, really petty shit. Like, again, like, this could have been, like, easily nipped in the bud, and these are supposed to be very smart people, right? Like, it doesn't make much sense to me.
Specifically, hey, do not disclose that you work with us. In those three cases, we might have a problem, but in these cases, not.
Yeah, I agree,
with
William.
Happening, or at
I
least
agree.
I've not seen any evidence that it is.
Well, Wick, just to be clear, like, to steelman the argument against this, it's not.
Please.
Well, to be fair, there are people.
Yeah, you know, like, pro debates, the whole James O'Keefe thing, you know, and Trump world is downplaying the guy's significance, and I don't know the guy's significance. I think a lot of people probably say a lot of things on dates that aren't true. So I don't know, like, how people should take it. Like, I think it's what we assume is going to happen. And he's just kind of voicing our assumptions. And he could be voicing what he thinks his date wants to hear, you know, like, so it's kind of like the same, you know, like, I don't trust James O'Keefe. I never have. He's always played with dirty rules. So, like, just because it's like now for some reason on the other side of it and he's exposing Trump, I still don't trust his methods or the way he goes about how he does things.
They're accusing Chorus of telling them what to do. I don't think I've seen any evidence of that. But what will happen is, and like, for example, I'm taking part in this thing called like the DNC, creator room, and every day they have like, hey, this is what's happened to the news. We just wanted to let you know. They're not telling anyone to make money. They're not paying us anything, but they are giving us resources and trying to keep us informed. And if people use that as their primary source of what they're reporting on, they're going to get exactly what the DNC is giving them. Now, if that's bad, if that's good, that's a whole different story. But people might be worried about, hey, you are getting all of your information from a top-down source that is catering to you these specific ideas, and that could be a bad thing. I don't think that's what's happening with Chorus.
Sure.
And if you look at the Chorus training thing, it's, hey,
push the goddamn button. I do that shit. Like, that's gonna be like the clips that Smokey takes. It takes like, I think I'm on like some kind of crazy. I gotta fix the delay. I push the goddamn button. You know, Smokey, if you're gonna clip, you should just clip my mutes. Like, Dumb Knock does it again. He's not even drunk. No excuses. You know, I can see the memes. I don't know. I can't remember what I said. I said a lot, and I was muted for a long time.
Yeah, maybe we'll have some daily meetings and
I think
updates. We'll
maybe.
give you,
I don't know.
Tips on how to expand your reach, but they're not specifically saying you need to make content on this, and people need to be responsible.
Oh, JD
and have
Vance.
different sources on news. And
Yeah, I don't think certain elements of MAGA won't follow JD Vance. I don't think.
So they're not catering to the people that are funding them. But you got to understand, and I have to push back on what Destiny said. If you are someone who are these people that are getting funded by Chorus who said, I quit my full-time job to do this, which, by the way, is something I did recently, that is a big step. And if you know that were I to at all cross these people, I would lose my ability.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with William on this one. Like, I don't think like if Trump goes away, I mean, just like the last time, right? Like, we thought Trump was done after January 6th. And he came back. MAGA was always there, and Trump knew that. And he came back and he won easily. I mean, fairly fucking easily. I don't think that if Trump goes away, MAGA goes away. Because again, like MAGA, whatever you think of Trump, MAGA at its core thinks they're a populist movement. And a lot of MAGA's issues are a lot of the issues we have. Right? Like we just see it in a very different way. A lot of MAGA's issues are just at its core racist or based in conspiracy. But a lot of it is people can't survive. You know? A lot of it is like they don't like being told what to say, what to do, but a lot of it is it's a struggle to survive. Like it's not just Democrats that live paycheck to paycheck, right? And MAGA is a movement about finally doing some shit, whatever you think about that shit. And if Trump's not the guy that's gonna fucking do it, well, there'll be another one. Like I truly believe that. I don't think that Trump isn't MAGA. He thinks he is. And I think a lot of people thinks he is. MAGA's a movement. And it's not going to die with the person that hijacked it. Because MAGA had been brewing for 20 fucking years before Trump even thought about running for president. Or at least running for president as a Republican.
To do what I'm doing full time, have to go back into the job market, and potentially might be unemployed to a point of, I don't know.
I'm wondering if that's something Connor has to wear, and maybe some kind of medical device. I don't understand. Now that I'm actually looking at it, it doesn't really look like a gas mask. It looks maybe like a medical device.
Ruined.
I understand
You're gonna feel pressure regardless.
Yeah, but how is that
your
pressure?
primary source of income?
Sure. How is that pressure or incentive any different when it comes from Chorus or a group like that than when it comes from your audience? I know
that is true. No, and I agree with Destiny's point on that. That if you have an audience that's like, let's say you're in the far left space and you just happen to push back on a very specific anti-Israel narrative, you might feel less inclined to do something like that. And I'm not trying to diminish that is another pressure, but I am saying that if you're receiving monthly stipends, that is your full-time payment that you otherwise would not be able to make this content, you're gonna feel a little pressure regardless of how much that is implicated or darkly, scantily, like these people are like pushing it on you. It's just inherently going to be that way because it's your only source of income.
Yeah, but I think what most people don't realize, Robin, is like the tariffs really isn't a MAGA thing. Like MAGA's behind it because Trump's doing it. But like if Trump goes away and the tariffs goes away, I don't think MAGA's going to be like hardcore upset about that. They have other things in mind. I believe. I could be wrong about that though.
Soy pill. Do you know how long the cohorts are for?
Oh. All right, hold on.
I think there's 6 months, right?
And the rest of you.
If it's 6 months, that's not even a worry then.
Yeah, it's a training program, right? It's a training program, so I think they're trying to...
But I don't know, that doesn't make sense either. Maybe Maybe it's like a PTSD thing. He did say he was like a vet.
Trying to like give the idea of like why people might be worried about this. Although again, the article I think is going way further than any of these arguments that I've laid out. It's saying a lot of.
It seems like it's really important.
Yeah, but I think
I don't know.
Against that, so I've got all the notes on that.
I don't know.
Bring it back to a point with the.
Hold on, wait, sorry. Before you go, Anne, you're saying something just so we don't lose the point. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I don't know if I'm getting drowned out. I have a mic, but how would this be any different from a different job?
I saw that, Robin. It's funny, like, you know, when the numbers were good, it was his economy already, and now the numbers are shit. And he's firing the people giving them the numbers. Like, you don't want to be the numbers guy in the Trump administration, let me tell you. And now it's my numbers don't start until next year.
Like, if I go to work for some company and I don't know, I'm producing something for them, and then they say, hey, by the way, if you like go around doing shit that we don't like publicly, we're gonna fire you. You would lose your job at that point, just like you would lose your job with this.
Because this job is sharing your opinion, and especially with the alternative media. I'm not saying this is a fair expectation. I'm just saying it's an expectation. When you're an MSNBC pundit or a Fox News pundit or whatever, it's expected that you're going to follow your institution's bias. Whereas you're saying like, hey, I'm Connor. I'm this guy. This is my ideology. Burp, burp, burp.
Shit, like, well, I seriously don't think, like, if Trump is healthy, like, if he's still breathing, right? I think he's going to run again. And like I've seen interesting, like, probably because I read the comments of like these MAGA sites that Zuckerberg is throwing at me. Like, I'm seriously probably going to like delete my face account altogether. I'm tired of two things. I'm tired of little shorts from 13-year-old girls being sexualized. It's disgusting. I don't know why Facebook is pushing that shit at me. And I'm a lefty. I say lefty shit on Facebook, and I get pushed right-wing shit all the fucking time on my Facebook feed, and I'm just tired of it. But I do like get into the comments and read, and like one of the things they're saying is Vance Trump for the next election. Like, you know, Trump would be the vice president and Vance would be the president, right? Like, I don't know if they could get away with that. They might be able to get away with that. I don't know.
Then what they're expecting is that you're some level of authentic. And so that's kind of where like the credibility comes in.
You don't think that conservatives... Wait, just to address that, you don't think the conservatives think that people on Fox News are actually holding those opinions?
You know what? I think conservatives are so stupid they might actually genuinely believe that that's their earnestly held opinions. However, I think they're stupid for believing that.
Well, it might depend on how...
I mean, just ask any conservative in my life. Like, I can literally call someone up right now and be like, do you think that, like, the people on Fox News believe what they're saying? And they'll probably say yes. And I guarantee you a lot of them actually do.
Does it matter if they believe or not?
Well, it might depend on how...
their audience?
It might depend on how explicitly you hang, like, your sponsors and your audience.
Yeah, I mean, Biden was status quo. I mean, he got our economy kind of running again. I mean... I don't disagree that he was Sleepy Joe. I think everybody knows at this point, you know, like, he's having his issues. And, I mean, I was always a lefty that was like, yeah, he's too old. You know, and not too old, but too old. You know, like, Bernie Sanders is older, but he's not too old. You know, still there. And I would say, like, outside of some gaffes and you know, funny moments from the campaign, and I've always tried to be fair with Trump with those, especially in the campaign, because campaigns are hard on anybody. They're hard on anybody that does them. I've worked in a couple of campaigns. I worked in a couple of the Bernie Sanders campaigns here in Michigan. They're hard on anybody that really works them, right? Especially the candidate, long hours, and whatever you think about Trump campaigns harder than anybody. He never stops campaigning. So, like, you can excuse those gaffes, I believe. But at this point, like, he's clearly declining, right? And I don't see the same criticisms for Joe Biden. And I'll grant you, like, people like we're watching right now would have defended Joe Biden to the last moment, long past the point that they should have on that issue. Like, I conceded that issue when it comes to Sleepy Joe a long time ago. I liked it when Sleepy Joe came awake and we got those Dark Brandon moments. Those were cool. You know, I enjoyed those. But those didn't happen very often. But, like, the people around him were efficient and they knew what they were doing and they got the economy running again. And if you look historically, like Republicans don't like to really face the truth, but it is Democrats that really try to balance the budget and Republicans that blow the deficits out the fucking crazy. And I'll grant, like, Biden had his deficits, but Obama did pretty great on deficits. Clinton did pretty great on deficits. Republicans have been blowing them up pretty much since Reagan. Red tape Reagan, you know. I'm old enough to have been alive for that, but I don't really quite remember it. Like, I remember the red tape thing, but I never, like, it wasn't until I was older that it got associated with Reagan. I was way too young to understand any of that shit. In the 80s, I was just a little kid, you know. I think I was 3 when Reagan was elected, so if I have it right. Because I'm pretty sure it was 80 when it might have been, I'm pretty sure it was 80. I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I went off on a ramble. Whatever.
It's his face, right? Or your funders and your audience's face,
turn off
right?
my
And the
video
point is,
for a
if
moment.
you're saying I'm authentic,
I'm gonna
and I
step
tell it
away
like it
for
is,
a
like
moment.
Connor was
I'll be
saying,
back in
but
just a moment.
your authenticity only goes so far as you're willing to agree with the people paying you. Then you're not authentic, and you're diluting your audience. Which again, I don't think
we
is
see that
happening
with
here,
political. We see that with political tribalism, though.
How is this any different than if, like, I don't know what kind of words I can say.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we could make the same argument for Trump at this point, William. I wouldn't say senile, just probably, like, you know what, he's been diagnosed with pretty severe cancer, so probably suffering from cancer there at the end.
Somebody doing, like, OF.
And probably getting treated for it and not being honest about it. Like, his people were clearly not being honest about it.
Like, you know, in love with some customer or something. Like, that's not authentic, but they're acting authentic.
I would
like,
say it's not different.
surely your waiter at the
immoral,
restaurant does not give a shit
That would
about
still
your
be
life.
immoral, though, right? Like, even if it's not illegal, it's immoral.
Okay, whatever. We'll pull the sex work out of it because I know everybody gets triggered over that. But, like, just take your waiter at a restaurant, like Cracker Barrel. They don't give a shit about your life. They don't care about your dog. They don't care about your baby sitting in the chair. Like, they don't care about any of that, but they're pretending to be authentic, and no one cares about
Prostitute
that.
never loved you.
Oh shit! I was an
People do care
excellent
about that.
server, and I did
Look,
care
the
about
stripper
my
said she loved
clients'
me.
dogs.
Okay.
I would disagree with that I would not. I didn't give a shit about my clients at all when I was serving. I was being nice to them
Exactly.
as part of the job.
Damn, you guys are shitty servers. I was like,
It was
please
a
pull up
job.
pictures
I
of your
can't care
dogs.
about
I want to take a look at your
5
shitty
people a day.
dog.
It depends.
What?
I
on the
try to be
audience.
nice and whatever, but like I'm an authentic person, but I try my best to be nice to people because people need to be nice to each other.
Okay, so,
Right?
so
Yeah,
hold on.
and
I
like-
don't.
Uh,
If we're
for
not
influencers-
I agree with you that in spirit that it's not different than any legacy media creator having a bias towards their institution, and that the audience needs to grow up. However, I think that, like, similar to your question where somebody was like, oh, do you believe that the people who watch Fox News think that those are earnestly held opinions? How do you communicate that to the audience? Because if we look at the Twitter mentions right now, I know Twitter isn't a perfect barometer, but on Twitter right now, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of people who are upset because they think that their favorite liberal
I think you can say that fairly easily, William, because you don't live in Chicago right now, right? I don't think you live in Chicago, do you?
or progressive creator is not approaching them from an
No.
authentic direction.
Look, that
now,
is
they're
not an
stupid,
authentic
but how do you
upsetness.
communicate that?
That is not an
Well, that's a
authentic. Look,
different-
we got. It's
that's a
not
different-
real.
Well,
They
I
do
think
not
The
act
audience
like-
might be real.
I think-
the Taylor Lorenz might not be real, but the audience that's upset
I don't
might
think
be
they
real.
are.
I think
Because
some
when-
people. I think some
that's a big
people.
bet.
I think some people can be upset. Okay, wait. She's right. Was trying to talk like 12 times.
Yeah. Go ahead, She's right.
Thanks. Yeah, different people go into different experiences with different expectations. Anyone who's branded as an influencer, those audiences are expecting authenticity. To your waiter, you expect them to be nice, but you don't actually expect them to be authentic, and that's why you're not upset when they're not. With news,
I don't
it's not
think that's true at all.
It's truthfulness and reliability.
And I think
I don't think
there's
that's
something.
true at all.
I think there's an extra thing at play here. So when we bring up the Fox News example, it's not hitting on the same thing. Like, if it came out for the Fox News guys that every single Fox News host was also sponsored by some conservative, like, I mean, we could pretend to care some conservative company, but I think nobody would care. But, like, let's say tomorrow it came out that every single, like, centrist podcast that all happened to bend towards Trump, what if it came out tomorrow that all of them were also sponsored by, like, the Koch brothers? We're paying, like, 50% of their salaries. I think everybody would, like, look at it meaningfully differently, because the assumption would be, well, hold on, wait, I thought you guys guys didn't have a certain political influence or partisanship, but all of you guys are getting paid money from like the same place, I think you'd look at it a bit differently. I think this issue isn't mapping onto those examples well, because everybody with Chorus, I'm assuming from what I know, are all like liberal left-leaning creators. So it doesn't seem likely that they would be getting paid to change their opinion anyway. They're probably just finding people already who happen to agree with those opinions.
Yeah,
Aren't
that's a
they
good point.
trying to maintain a facade of nonpartisanship though? Like that's like on their website, if I'm remembering.
I mean, if you call
Chorus?
yourself a liberal, I
Yeah,
mean, if you
on their
openly call
website,
yourself a
pretty sure.
progressive or liberal, like I don't know if you would call yourself like non-partisan.
All it says is we have these. It says we have these values. Okay, we have these values. If you have shared values, we want to give you the tools to start a media operation for yourself to be self-sustaining. Okay, if you share these values, it says nothing about parties or supporting parties. And when Brian Tyler Cohen goes on and he says we can't coordinate with the party or toe the party line, it's because they literally cannot do it legally. Their lawyers will tell them they can't do that as a 501c4. And all these lefties on Twitter don't give a shit at all about the classification, which is why this conversation, even having it, is a loss, because they're not saying real rational points to respond to. I think someone else brought that up earlier.
Yeah, the reason I have such a the reason I have such like strong opinions on this is because this isn't my first rodeo with these kinds of accusations, right? And Connor can back me up here. And when we were in Progressive Victory, I on every single stream I did had like paid for by Progressive Victory, like contracted with Progressive Victory, right? I was as forthcoming with it and disclosing it as I possibly could be, and it was never enough. It's not enough.
Let's get Beckett on here. Let's see if he agrees with your characterization.
Of course, because he's going to dishonestly, in my opinion, paint this as something shadowy because they are using it as a weapon. It's Taylor Lorenz and her cohort are using it as a weapon against liberals because they hate liberals for a variety of reasons. These are not honest actors. Let's stop treating them as they are, please.
Then fine. Let me shift the conversation to the dynamic that you guys are talking about, because it sounds like we have enough overlap that we're ultimately fighting about window dressing, okay? So you're saying, and Steve and I talked about this a couple of days ago, that this is not an Democrats in successful Democratic creators or liberal creators to groom in a positive way other up-and-coming liberal creators in order to become successful is not a controversy. It's actually stupid that this is a controversy. It's not good faith, okay? Let's say that we all agree with that, relatively speaking.
Hell yeah.
Okay, but now what Stephen is saying, and some other people are saying, is we don't need these people, these people. But the argument from the far left and the progressives is that they are between 10 and 20% of the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party lost the last election by tens of thousands of votes.
I don't believe their numbers. Okay, so that's one. And two, I would posit that by getting rid of them, the albatross around our neck, it will allow people who are scared of those people on the center and the center right to once again join the fold that had previously left. We would gain more than we lose.
Okay, is there nothing of value from leftists or progressives? And so, for instance, like...
So you gain people who don't share your same values when it comes to civil liberty. It seems to me like this is a betrayal. Like these people, they're saying that the leftists are coming in bad faith, that Taylor Lorenz is coming in bad faith. But it seems like they're arguing in bad faith. They're arguing that this is some kind of sponsorship. This is like some any normal job. Like, again, making it more of a controversy than it really needs to be. Like, this could have all went away fairly quickly if they'd have just apologized and moved on.
As an example, I'm a former law enforcement officer. I should be the first person who hates, police reform or whatever. But I don't, because there's plenty of stupid shit that cops do all the time that should probably be legislated against. And so as a result, the progressives, the BLM movement, totally stupid. Defund the police, totally stupid. But is there something productive there where they're pointing to a real problem that should be addressed by Democratic legislatures? Because let's face it, the Republicans aren't going to do shit about it.
Okay, what issue is that?
There.
What issue are they pointing to that needs to be addressed that you find valid?
I would obviously say universal body cameras, like federally.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about police reform. I'm talking about funding in the leftists' criticisms of liberals? What are they pointing to that's honest that you think that they need to change?
Oh, I can speak on that because
for this
you
specific
talked about this
drama.
earlier. But go ahead, Connor. Sorry.
Yeah. Just I'll address it. I'll try to be brief. For this specific drama, I do not think that there is anything that I would concede to these what we think are bad faith critics. However, their bases still care about progressive and further left economic and social issues that you do need to address if you want to attract the voters away from these shitty pundits.
Okay, I want to specifically address you with, though.
Sorry, wait, Bill, 1 second. She's right. I know that because you haven't had a lot of opportunity to speak. I know that you wanted to say something.
I lost my thought. I'll catch up.
Oh, okay, sorry. Keep going.
So specifically, and I heard some people saying like, oh, what is dark money really an issue? The issue with dark money is not the idea that like, oh, it's potentially going to shift people's opinions. Dark money is just, hey, we don't know where this is coming from. And that means that potentially this could be huge sums of money that are like paying people to say things that may or may not believe. That if you look if you read Dark Money by Jane Mayer, like you can see that there's tons of small elections across the country with millions and millions and millions, if not billions of dollars coming from Koch brothers, wherever, that are completely transformed because you're able to pay for all these things that do work in these small time elections, like ads, like campaigning, like all this stuff that you wouldn't otherwise see. And it's not directly like, oh, I'm paying for this ad, but the way that they're able to spread this out is shifting House seats. It is shifting certain things. Now, people like to say, oh, I gave Ted Cruz $10 million. Now he's pro-oil. That's probably not what's happening. Ted Cruz is pro-oil, and he gets $10 million because he is pro-oil. So the issue, the only valid criticism I think any of this stuff is from the left is, hey, we should know who's giving these people money. And that's it. Now, the great part about that is 1630 is advocating for the overturn of Citizens United, so you can't not disclose who you are when you give this money. So even though they are a dark money fund with like $400 million, they're saying, hey, we want to get rid of this. Right now, our donors are allowed to say not who they are. We want that eventually to go away. So I'm fine with it.
First of all, I am pro Citizens United.
Yeah, and I mean, he kind of steelman the lefties' position, I think. Like, it's not that it's illegal. I don't think anybody's saying that anybody did anything criminal. It's that, is it not on the Democratic platform to try to overturn Citizens United? Like, isn't that on the platform now? Wasn't that one of the concessions that you gave us when you fucked Bernie Sanders? No matter what, Wilt might say. And yeah, it's a long shot. Everybody that understands what Citizens United is knows it. But guess what? Like, a lot of people on the right don't have an issue with overturning Citizens United either. Like, I think it's something that can be done. Because Citizens United is what has fucked the common person in this country, because we don't have a government anymore. So if you are supposed to stand for what you would call like the Democratic Party values, and you're not actually, but you're getting dark money, then yeah, that's a fucking issue. That means you're a hypocrite. And, unlike the right, we hold ourselves accountable, don't we? At least we like to say we do. I gotta have one more of these things. If you guys have never had these things are fucking delicious, man. I'm like addicted. But, at least we say we do. So, I don't know. Like, again, like, I don't think it should have been a big deal, but it is an issue. And like, if the moderate framework is, well, we're not going to do anything to improve the conditions for working people in this country, then why should working people in this country vote for you? At least the right is placating working people and pretending like they're going to do something for them. This is why, like, the Democratic Party is so fucking unpopular right now. It's like, learn your fucking lessons. Everybody needs to concede in order to form a coalition. Right? You have to give ground. And one of the, like, prerequisites of that is you can't support genocide. Like, just take your stakes out of that game. That's a prerequisite. That should be a prerequisite. Like, just, you know, you can support Israel unless they're committing genocide.
I think that was a rightly decided case. I don't know if anyone disagrees with me here.
I would disagree.
Okay, well then good. We have some disagreement. We can go. The whole thing about Citizens United is, again, I'm going to ask this question again.
Thank you, William.
What is wrong, fundamentally, immoral, or what should be illegal about a group
I think
of
I like
people
you too.
getting together?
I like your honesty. I don't agree with a lot of the shit you say, but I like your honesty.
Pooling their resources and putting those resources to causes that they care about. Is that not free speech? And in addition, why would they need to why can't they do this anonymously? Say I wanted to donate to Soypill, and say Soypill had a lot of baggage that I might be embarrassed to donate to Soypill. Right? They found his they found his memoirs about what he wanted to do to all the Muslims and things like that. Right? I don't know. Right? Some kind of scandal. But I still believed in what Soypill wanted to say, and I wanted to give him money. But I was afraid that if I was to give him money and people would find out, that people would harass me and target me and these things. So why should I not be able to anonymously give to him, right? In order
to be
help
clear,
him out?
you can anonymously give to me by insofar as you just make a random YouTube account that's not linked to your name and super chat me, right? And you should, because I've super chatted you a lot and you still haven't bought YouTube Premium. So that's an issue on its own. The actual problem is that when you have this dark money stuff and you have Citizens United, the amount of money is on a scale completely unrelated to what you just said. Like if you just like, oh, I'm just one guy trying to do this, we're talking like this is amount of monies to like shift the entirety of like districts and counties that have absolutely nothing to do with the constituents in those places who might otherwise say, hey, I want to vote for this guy because he aligns with me, which is how democracy is supposed to work. And hey, I was able to spend so much money on campaign ads in like these 17 different districts in Alabama that all of these old people who just watch TV and see these campaign ads are now completely going to shift their vote because some guy in a completely different state with hundreds of billions of dollars was able to push it into that. So it's about the scale and the precedent and what that amount of money is able to do. People are upset by that, and I don't particularly like it, but I can see an argument for why
should it be
it's a limitation of free speech.
Should it be unlimited spending, Wick?
From domestics, I don't see, like, what would you limit it as?
No, I mean, do you think like spending on these PACs and everything should be unlimited for super PACs and for 501c4s?
What
there should
would
be no
the
limit at
argument
all.
for limiting it? Like, and what would you limit it at?
So like the obvious.
I'm like, it kind of blows my mind. Like, how can you call yourself a Democrat if you think like, well, I shouldn't be surprised, honestly. It just, again, how can you think workers are going to vote for you if your message is, yeah, rich people can spend whatever the fuck they want? Why shouldn't they? What's the argument against it? The argument against it is in an age where money buys elections. We, especially national elections, every election cycle nationally, excuse me, they're spending millions more than they did the last one. Excuse me. This last election, like, I live here in Michigan, right? So the force to vote thing really hamstrung Kamala here. Dearborn is usually a city that they can count on. That's usually their vote. Like, Republicans have made no qualms about their Islamophobia. So Dearborn is usually is going to go along with Detroit because Michigan's weird. You know, we have very populated centers that vote blue. I mean, not weird. It's kind of what happens across the country, but our rural areas are extensive. And our rural areas are fucking red as you can fucking believe. And even our smaller cities are red as you can fucking believe. The city I live in, Battle Creek, Michigan, is a red city. I am surrounded by MAGA here. It's like, it's how I know, like, when ICE turns its eyes on citizens, when they come here, I'll probably be one of the first to go. Yay, something to look forward to, you know. So, I don't know. It's how can you expect normal working Americans to vote for you when your message is, no, we're for the rich guys? I mean, how can you have a message opposing Trump's tax bill if you're for the rich people, that they can just buy elections? How can you have a bitch about Elon Musk buying the election for Donald Trump? And I know, like, Republicans, Kamala had $1 billion or however crazy amount she had, and she spent it poorly. But again, Donald Trump spent his money well, and he had the richest man in the world giving him whatever he needed to do it. Again, I lived here in Michigan. Dearborn hamstrung Kamala. But it was a flood of transgender hate commercials. Nonstop. Every football game I watched, every commercial break, trans hate. Every commercial break. Nonstop. You'd get one Kamala commercial and 4 Trump commercials about trans folk. That was the reality here in Michigan. And that's why Kamala Harris lost. Because money buys elections. Money buys messaging. And she didn't spend her money very well. She spent her money trying to recruit people like Connor from Counting Points. People like, the other never Trumper. People like Liz Cheney. Dick Cheney. Like, for God's sake. Like, fucking Dick Cheney. Darth Vader himself. And a very qualified person loses to a very unqualified person because of it. We have to rein in Citizens United if people want their government back. All people. Honestly, even rich people. Not the uber rich, the ones that own the government, but even rich people would have their government back. Or at least they wouldn't no longer have to try to kiss the asses of the uber rich people, hoping they can one day be one of them. It's the only way you get your government back. It's the only way politicians will be forced to do the will of their constituents. Because right now, they don't have to. They don't have to. Why would they? But let's continue. We're going to be here forever if I keep talking this much.
This argument is the same thing when it's like, for example, one freedom of speech question legally would be, can you protest outside of an abortion clinic or outside of a religious establishment? Yeah. So we have some rulings that say, oh, well, we have a perimeter around that church that is 100 feet long, 100 feet. 100 feet is too much of an infringement on freedom of speech, but we could do 15 or 20 feet. So you can't be, right in front of the church building. You can still be there protesting, but you can't be yelling in people's faces. So there are legal rulings in the Supreme Court for that. So for this, for example, it would say we should not have unlimited campaign spending, but maybe there's some limit. Maybe even like there's one bill that some Democrats pushed that would tie the amount of like super PAC spending to the amount you could spend on PACs. Would you support some limit in general?
I'd have to think more about that. My instinct, and I'm swayable on this, frankly. But my instinct is
all right, gotta turn the camera off.
One's arbitrary. Like, as long as, and again, my answer changes if it's foreign funding. If foreign funding, I don't think you should be able to be anonymous or anything like
the
that.
whole tenant media situation.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
That's different. I think that there's good reasons, security reasons, to want that to be different. But when it comes to Americans wanting to donate to American causes, I don't know if I support a limit.
What if it was like a dual? What if it was like a dual citizen who was an American and another?
Then they get. It
was going to say, what if they're a Turkish nepo baby and their billionaire dad leaves them a few $1 billion, and then they start sweeping elections for socialism and communism? What if?
When that starts happening, let me know. Speaking. Okay,
let's fucking go.
When that starts happening, let me know. But my problem with like all these laws is it restricts people's ability to anonymously, and I think anonymity is important, right? To anonymously support causes that they want. Like, we wouldn't want to get rid of the anonymous vote, would we? Even though the arguments.
Well, I think so. I think one thing when you talk about anonymity and when you talk about your rights is there's always a balancing test for these things. Like any right can be curtailed, as they often are. The balancing test oftentimes has to do with how narrowly tailored is whatever law we're looking at to restrict some right, and then what is is there a compelling state interest to do so, right? So I think when we talk about voting, right, like should you have to disclose who you voted for? You have one vote. You're not, swaying an election on your own unless you're, traveling with 400 million illegal immigrants or whatever the Republicans accuse people of doing. But with funding, now you can say that you have a right to privacy there, and when it comes to you buying
full disclosure, Robin, I'm not sure how much experience you have with Will. He is a certified misogynist. Like he doesn't hide it.
thing for your own personal consumption. I think there's a strong argument that you have a right to privacy there, although conservatives disagree now, apparently, when it comes to pornography in 7 states or whatever, or abortions, I guess, in however many states. But the public also, I think, has an interest in that, right? Like there's a strong public interest in what the soy pill was saying. Let's say that I have this feeling that, man, there sure do seem to be a lot of Second Amendment supporters in the United States of America. I'm seeing this messaging everywhere. Let's say that it came out tomorrow that it was actually literally just Elon Musk because he saw, some laser gun movie and he's like spent $100 billion, $2 billion per state, and it was just him through other companies the entire time. I think people would look at it a little bit differently. Like, well, hold on. Well, now that I know that it's just Elon, who's literally like 98% of the funding of our state, it kind of changes the way that I feel about it. And there is a public interest there,
Yeah, I could be convinced perhaps to have a list where you have like, you wouldn't name the names, but you would have the amount.
I mean, again, it seems like, it would be fairly easy to change the law. Well, I mean, it's not going to be easy because it's like, I believe it's a constitutional amendment, at this point. Like, it's not easy to overturn it, but if we were to overturn it, it seems like it would be easy to make it possible for grassroots movements like AOC's or Bernie Sanders or even Donald Trump's to get those grassroots movements going to an unlimited amount. Maybe not so easy to make sure like billionaires weren't trying to influence it, but then it probably would be fairly easy if they're answering to said billionaires. But it seems like we could differentiate that fairly easily. Like the argument that Will is having is like, oh, well, if you take away the ability for very rich people to buy elections, then you take away the ability for masses of people to win elections. And I just don't think those two things correlate. I think that's a false dichotomy. I think that we can get rid of the ability of the oligarchy to own the government. At the same time, make sure that free speech of citizens, of real people, not corporations, is being seen to, right? Like, I think that we can do that, that our society has come to a point that we could probably get that done if we really wanted to. And I think that, like, of all the things that we dislike about MAGA, one of the main things about MAGA is they'd probably be down for that. But the thing with, like, doing, like, a constitutional convention, or I think you need, like, some kind of crazy majority vote. I don't know what I do know is, like, one of the ways to do it is a constitutional convention, and those things can be crazy, and there's a reason why we don't do those very often. I think we've done it, like, 3 times in the history of the country. One of those times being the very first one when we broke away from England, right? Like, we just don't do that for a reason, because when you throw a constitutional convention, everything's up for grabs, right? Like, everything's up for grabs. But there are other ways to go about it to where, maybe you need a very, very broad coalition to get the vote to overturn the law, and then you can, like, rewrite law to make sure that, the people's voices can still be heard while making it impossible for very rich people, a select few, to be able to influence the outcome of elections, which, if you have enough money, is very easy to do. It's just very easy to do. That's not the same as stealing elections, but influencing them is very easy to do. And once you've influenced it enough, you can pretty much predict which way it's going to go. Now, that's on a national level with the presidency. I think it's hard to predict that, but you can put the odds in your favor, right? Like if you can make the battlegrounds super close when they really shouldn't be, then it's money well spent, probably. Especially when the big payoff comes, like they got with their tax breaks.
Of people and the amount donated per person. I can see an argument for that, but my issue with releasing names, right, is this is often used as a vector for harassment to try to pressure people, and it can have a chilling effect. Say again, like if I really do believe that what Soy Pill is doing is correct, and despite the allegations against Soy Pill, you know, should I like?
Yeah, I agree. I understand the chilling effects are, but like chilling effects aren't
my community, right?
Chilling effects aren't always bad, right? Because we to some extent we want a chilling effect. We don't want one person necessarily to feel comfortable being 99% of the contributions towards one cause across several states, right? We want to chill maybe potentially some types of really intrusive spending there. But now, like, can you avoid chilling individuals who want to donate? Maybe not. I mean, this is maybe why these limits exist. Maybe past a certain amount of money you'd have to disclose. I personally think it would be challenging, but I think that everybody that does media, I think, should have to disclose all of their income sources. I think it would be incredibly revealing.
I don't want to share my OnlyFans donators, okay?
Well, regardless of the like, if everyone should disclose thing, I like really quickly want to talk about the like limits thing. This might be asking you to assume something that isn't necessarily what I can prove here because I didn't prepare this. But if you were to accept that a large amount of money, significant, not like from any one person, but from a pool of like multi-million, if not billionaires, was able to sway elections or voter sentiment in certain areas, even if it was on county scale, this isn't general election stuff, would you not say that it is somehow now not fair that individuals who can contribute as much as possible will never be able to match up with people who are able to completely subvert what would otherwise be a free, democratic, free thought election in a smaller place because they're able to shift public sentiment so much with that amount of money? Does that not?
See, I forgot they got into this whole Citizens
like
United, and the Citizens
unfair,
United discussion again is just a deflection from the real issue of the scandal they're so up in arms about. Like, Citizens United has absolutely nothing at all to do with the chorus scandal. Nothing at all to do. And again, like, I'm a leftist. I'm probably not as far leftist as, you know, these people have issues with, but I'm still a pretty far lefty. I don't think anybody can deny that. And I'm very disappointed in Pac-Man and Brian Tyler Cohen's, which I hate using people's full names. It seems very arrogant to me. I don't go around like, you know, I'm Ronnie Earl Tate. You know, like, what the fuck, man? It just seems very arrogant. But I listen to those people occasionally, like especially their clips. If the title grabs my attention, I think both of them. I mean, Brian's not much of an arguer. He does bring interesting people on and talks to them though. But I enjoy, like, Pac-Man. He can argue and he makes good points. So I'm very disappointed. I don't think I stopped watching them over this. Right, like can we be like? And I know it's like, you know, it's like an oxymoron for me to ask this. Me, the raging atheist, the drunken buffoon. But can we just be grown-ups, please? I mean, can we not be grown-ups? Like, you know, I wish I'd listened to all the people telling me back in the midst of my dramas with Smokey, to be the grown-up and to just stop and ignore them, and I couldn't do it. So I get it, but like, can we just like grow the fuck up and, you know, aim our attention to our enemies, our real enemies?
Can't prove it to you right now.
Sure. Is it unfair? Perhaps, but my interest isn't necessarily in fairness. That's not my overarching concern, though it is something that we should be concerned about. And again, I think that people are disclosing where the money come from in the sense of, like, is it being donated out of state? I think that might be fair, right? But when it comes to like my issue and my concern, again, is coming from what I've seen and how I've seen people behave when they see that someone is supporting, and whether it be financially or otherwise, someone that they hate, and the amounts that they will go to stop that person, right? And
No,
I
I
can see
understand that
that.
pushback. But I also just have an issue with the fact that like a billionaire can put like the dumbest fucking
These are both
person like
issues,
Elon
though.
Musk in front of Doge because he's able to put so
Yeah.
much into this campaign, right?
But
So
these
it's
are-
like I don't think that billionaires should have the ability to make these dumb decisions. I think they should be limited just as much as I am with how much I can donate to a campaign. So that hey, if you want to support someone, go ahead. Maybe we don't have to.
I seriously don't see how you have any women friends, William. Like, you don't have any women friends, like not real friends, right? I still don't understand how Pixie does. She still put up with your bullshit? Like, I don't get it, man. Like, damn, bro.
Disclose. I'd prefer if they did. I understand there could be pushback, but I don't want it to be that, hey, once you get so powerful because you've accumulated all this wealth, you now have essentially more of a vote than I do, depending on how much you agree that that actually has power and influence.
Wait, yeah, not to disagree. I get both sides of it. Like, one, you don't want like some random billionaire or like a corporation like Big Oil dropping billions of dollars into a campaign for a guy who's pro oil. But on the other hand, Wick, what you were saying was like, you said, because I get the argument of for the Citizens United ruling, which is like, for that ruling you would want to have, you shouldn't like necessarily have like a set dollar amount on like
Yeah,
how
they
much
weren't even look. It wasn't even about a donation. What they did in the Citizen United is they made basically a campaign ad, right, or a video,
Any political
anti-Hillary
contribution video. Is what I meant to say. This is my first debate. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. You're fine. It's okay.
You should apologize. You're contributing to the
Call him a
debate space,
slur.
and it's toxic.
I can't do that.
Don't get me violated for TOS, please.
No,
I'm sorry.
Wait, I've got a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
So what about like the public financing option? Because like in New York City, for example, they have like a 12-to-1 match. So it's good because that allows outsiders to actually have a chance to win these seats, right? And I know the tankies love to say that Zoran won based on the affordability stuff, and okay, maybe that's part of it. But they don't talk about the fact that Zoran was the only candidate,
So it's going to heat up.
Third-party candidate to get
if I remember it
funds.
correctly.
So he was
like
walking into election.
They're talking
with
about
$8
something
million
that has nothing
for
at
New
all
York
to
City
do with
mayor
anything.
race, right? They don't talk about.
I mean, it has a lot to do with something,
that's
but
kind of the good
it's a
part
deflection
about,
from
like,
what
the New
they're there
York
to talk
City
about.
match. And some other cities do this too. Like LA's got like a 6-to-1.
Yeah.
Seattle's got democracy dollars. It doesn't stop people though from outside spending, right? So like Cuomo's still, outspent him through the PACs, but it just gives those outsiders an opportunity that they wouldn't have otherwise.
This is a good kind of.
You have to make like a substantive less amount of money in order to qualify for matching dollars, or how does that
What do you
work?
mean?
Right, like what? So, for instance, let's say Bloomberg was running for mayor and he could throw $1 billion at the campaign, and then Zoran Mandani
presidential
had
campaign.
12
No, you
billion.
can't.
Would Bloomberg be entitled to the match?
No, so they can only make up to a certain amount, and you can't.
Will's not a devil. I don't know the real Will. I don't think you do either, Sammy.
Can't partially participate in the program. So you have to walk into the election saying, like on day one, before you've raised a single dollar, you have to say, I'm declaring I'm going to be part of the matching funds program, which means that you can't raise. First of all, you have to get like 1 million donations in your district, right? And it's not really that many. I think it's something like, I don't know, I can't remember what it is, a couple thousand, right? So they have to get those, and they have to be between like $5 and like $100. And then once you get those and they're all qualified match, so they've proved they live in the city, they've proved that they're a registered voter, all of those things, then you just get that match. So no, like somebody like Bloomberg can't come in and say, oh, I'm going to do matching funds, and then be like, oh, actually, I'm going to raise more money. I'm opting out of it. The other thing is that it does put a pressure campaign on them, because New Yorkers don't like the fact that people don't use the matching funds program, right? So like that sort of dissuades people like Bloomberg and like Cuomo from saying, oh no, I'm just going to use outside money.
I don't mind that because it doesn't restrict the other people from having their voice heard through their money, but it also kind of gives a subsidy, if you will, right, for lack of a better term. I'm not familiar on the specifics of these laws, obviously. I might quibble on one of those, but I think in spirit and kind of like the concept of it, I have no problem with that. I think that's fine.
This is my argument, though, with all the far left online, and they never respond to me after I say this. But I'm like, if you guys actually give a fuck about getting like the Zorans elected and you want to do that.
Oh, it's like a William Freeman circle jerk in the side chat. It's so sweet. It's so sweet. I kid.
That get ranked choice voting on the ballot and get fucking matching funds on the ballot. Like, you can go out and do that as a private citizen if you want to do that, but they don't.
They're gonna do that because they're lazy.
It's much easier to tweet about it, okay? And
I know, right?
Look, it's super.
Okay, but then we're getting to the transition that I wanted to make. So we've effectively all, circled.
I think we're about to get back into it.
Okay, we don't really care about the fact that Democrats are paying Democrats to pay Democrats in order to do electoral stuff. We don't care about that. Okay, now Steven's position is, let's just bully leftists endlessly, and the liberals can win without the progressives and the leftists. Okay, I think that might be a flawed strategy. So do we not have a few progressives or leftists here who might say, like,
Connor,
hey, bullying is not the way to go?
Connor, I have a thing I want to... You're not appealing to the leftists or the socialists. You're trying to appeal to the leftists that are online and the socialists that are, like, online. And I feel like that's a much different type of
that's a
person
lot
to
of them.
appeal to.
That's actually my point.
Is it a lot of them?
That is my actual point. You should be trying to appeal to the actual more progressive, more lefty voters who probably don't even know how to define socialism.
Because they're idiots.
No, I just want to point out, look, I'm a leftist myself. I don't think any of these people should be fucked with at all. I think they should be completely forgotten, left in the dust. Like, these people don't even believe in the electoral system. Why would we include them in any movement?
So hold on.
Bravo.
Okay, the reason
They
why
literally think
this is the
liberals
crux.
are
Wick, please, before we have a nice conversation, I want to make it a little spicy, okay? The point is that we...
Hey, I'm just glad, like, the Smoky crew seems to have left. I was a little nervous there for a moment, I won't lie. The biggest bane of my existence has been William Kincaid. And I have no doubts now that I'm back, like, they're revving the gears back up on those old engines, but I'm just not interested in it.
I think Steven's the one who brought up the stat. So in Dearborn, Michigan, I think Michigan was lost to Trump. Biden carried it at like 68%, and then Jill Stein took 27 or 28%. And so as a result, Kamala lost the state of Michigan. So the left wing, railing about Israel and Palestine, railing about that conflict to a base that was sympathetic to Palestine, did cost Kamala a state. And then also a substantive amount of states were lost by tens of thousands of votes. So every vote counts, including the psychos.
But you have to factor in the people who stayed home because they thought Kamala was too far left, or playing footsie with people who were too far left, that she didn't substitute.
That was
Kamala's problem. Hold on. Kamala's...
Wit is delusional. People didn't think Kamala and Michigan were too far left. At least not Democratic voters. The Democratic voters turned down in Michigan. A lot of the Democratic voters just turned to Trump. And then Dearborn was pretty much the thing that lost her Michigan. And it was because she was trying to court the moderate, that she could not take a stance on Gaza. If she would have went the other way, she would have won Michigan, without a doubt. I don't think that turns the election for her, but it probably would have won her a couple other states as well. She miscalculated how vital an issue it was for her base, because she was pandering to a different base, the base that they are arguing should be pandered to. And that's not a Democratic Party I really want to be a part of. Like, I will allow a never-Trumper into the coalition to defeat MAGA, but then they can go back to being Republicans. Like, bring some sanity back to your party, because that's not our party. And the fact that these moderates are pretty much admitting that they're Republicans, because the Overton window has shifted. Like, if you're a moderate and you're like meeting the moderate Republicans as much as the Overton window has shifted here in America, then you're a Republican. So why are you telling us to get out of the party? It should be you leaving the party, because you're not Democrats.
Problem was she tried to play both sides, and both sides didn't like that. Okay.
Yeah, it didn't pass the smell test.
Yeah, it felt disingenuous. Okay,
Whether it wasn't, I
like,
need to interrupt you because I don't want to have the why did we lose conversation again. And I think what we can talk about here, and to Connor's
you
point, is
probably
that
need to have that conversation if we're rolling up on
I,
midterms, don't you think?
No, I know that, Connor. But what I'm saying is, when we're talking about especially dark money and like maybe what these lefties, which I think a lot of these lefties, Wick, you said this was disingenuous. I think a lot of the.
Well, I agree, BS. If you're talking about Kamala, I think she was just. I mean, it was just bad political strategy. She was dumb for listening to the dumb people that were talking to her. Like, I don't want the Democratic Party to be the party of Liz Cheney and her daddy. That's what turned me away from the Republican Party. Like, completely. That's what radicalized me to the left. Was her daddy. Like, what are we even talking about here? You know, like, there's a right and a left. There should be a party that represents what the right is in America, and there should be a party that represents what the left is in America. And if the left is actually the right, well, then you don't have any choices.
Pundits, if you look at like how the Vanguard has responded to it, and how like the article is written, it is coming from a I hate the Democrats point of view, not because it fits into their narrative of, hey, it's just like this dumb idea they had to spend $20 million and find the new Joe Rogan of the left. And it's just like, hey, we can just criticize you and show that this was your fault. However, a lot of the people in these audiences do have these sentiments. Like me, they say, hey, I don't like dark money in politics. I wish we could have more transparency here. I don't like Citizens United. We can talk about that later. The point is, there are plenty of people that I bet we could win over that aren't going to like, you know, toe the line, obviously, but are going to like be sympathetic to knowing, but I bet a lot of people didn't know this, that 1630 is anti-dark money in politics, is about campaign finance reform. So if you were able to communicate that to some of these lefties, I think a fair chunk of them would say, hey, this is still an okay idea. I still want to vote Democrat. And I think
just real quick. Go ahead, please.
And piggybacking off of that idea that Soy was saying was, a lot of these audiences in these progressive or socialist spaces are very young. I think they skew like heavily like teenage to like young or like early 20s. So I think that a lot of these people are still very open to having their minds changed. And I think it's important to at least rally the younger, more politically enthusiastic part of that crowd that's not entirely bought into like far left.
I don't know how you come to that analysis, Sammy. Here in America, like there's really no. I mean, that's something new. Like I've never even really heard that before. That the Overton window has shifted left in America. That's just not the case. In fact, you know, like what we were touting even 5 years ago on the Raging Atheist, that it seems like people are leaving the church in massive droves. Those numbers have shifted. Like, no, there's just people are. We are more right wing in America than ever before. Like, ever before. I just don't know where you're getting at. Maybe you talk to William too much.
Like Hassan Piker, Sam Cedar, Taylor Lorenz types who are so seeded into their careers, who are so ideologically bought in at this point in their life that there's not any hope of really changing their minds.
Yeah, you need to take that like idealistic youth, like I know I can transform the system and show them like, unfortunately, Democrats, as much as you might have problems with them, are the way that you're going to have this transformed, and abstaining and letting Trump win is just going to make it worse and harder to do. You need to work with these people and reform it, but you can't do that if they're not even in power.
I don't think the answer is just to, well, I'll tell you how. Right. And I'll tell you how you tell the difference between someone who's an honest actor and someone who is a dishonest actor. Like, I am not advocating for when someone's like, hey, I have some problems with dark money in politics. I heard Chorus did X, Y, and Z. That sounds pretty bad. I'm not advocating that we call them a slur immediately. OK, I'm advocating that you like, well, actually, and you just lay it out like, no, this isn't true. This isn't true. And provide some facts for it. Right. Give them some sources. Give them some actual evidence. But if they continue to press the point, like, well, you know, that's only one person that you found that criticized Israel, or it's only like 10% of them. If they keep pushing the point, just then you call them a slur, okay? Then you can say, no.
Okay, but we're dealing with the same problem, though, which is with Trump, which is effectively like, what is it? Like lies have a head start and are heard around the world before the truth has the chance to put its pants on or whatever in the morning. So we're dealing with that problem. And then on top of that, you're dealing with the problem that you're playing a reactive and defensive game. So effectively, the far left, the lefties or the progressives or whatever, who hate mainstream Democrats, who hate liberals, they make shit up. They talk a bunch of shit. They get their enthusiastic audience all fucking revved up. And then if you're...
I think that's a misrepresentation of the left. We don't hate most Democrats. We don't hate most liberals. We despise liberal politicians. Corrupt liberal politicians. We despise them. But, like, what few liberals I have in my family, I'm grateful for. Because the rest of them are all MAGA. Like, I'm really grateful for the liberals in my family. They're the only ones that'll defend me. Like, without them, I'd have nobody in my family. No, we don't like the politicians that have taken our party from what was really truly becoming, after civil rights and the political shift dynamic that Republicans refused to acknowledge. It had really started to become like a pro-worker party again. It had been that way under FDR, but that had been a long time ago. Republicans in American society was pretty thorough in expelling the socialists from America after World War II. So, I don't know where I was going with any of that. I've been streaming too long, and I still got like an hour of this to watch. We might make this a two-parter, because I'm getting tired, and it's about time to eat dinner. So we're going to watch a little more, and then I'll probably finish this tomorrow at some point.
Explaining you're losing, and your solution is explaining.
Hold on.
So how do you become the sexier alternative?
My solution to discerning between honest and dishonest is explaining.
I would kind of agree with that. Like, I think socially you could definitely say in America the Overton window had shifted left, but really the Overton window doesn't have much to do with social issues. It's more economic issues. As far as I've always understood it. I could be wrong about that. I would agree. Like, we had made great strides when it came to social issues in America, and we've come to a full stop. But the Overton window is like the shift in the political framework, the political philosophy, right? So, yes, even as Sammy, that decade that we were making great strides, we made gay marriage legal. We made great strides all around. Transgender people started to get some equality, started to feel enough freedom to not hide away and that was great. But if you look at the political philosophy, it was still shifting right, and both parties were still shifting right. So on the Republican side, even through all of that, you had the Tea Party movement, which was a shift to the right for the Republicans, and every time the Republicans shifted right, Democrats would shift right with them. And we saw that most recently with the Kamala Harris election. We saw her just do it more blatantly than any Democrat had done it before. And it's what really like just made put I mean, I always kind of had a sour taste in my mouth over Kamala, because she was like, we called her like the mirror of Bernie. Like, she just pretty much mirrored all of Bernie's positions, trying to get the nomination, and lost brutally when she had ran before. So I had a bad taste in my mouth for that. But until that point, I was so excited that it wasn't going to be Biden, that she had my full support. But when she started just like placating to Republicans and just showing that Overton window shift for everybody to see, it was disgusting. She couldn't even you can't even take a solid stance on genocide. Won't even say, yeah, it's wrong. They're our allies. We gotta figure out how to talk to them because it's wrong. You couldn't even do that, right? So, yeah, I would agree. Like, socially, we did have a shift to the left. We had some victories but politically, we were still shifting to the right, and we are paying the price for those victories because of it. Would be my argument.
Advocacy for what to do when they are just liberal-hating leftists is to ignore or purge them. Okay.
How do you purge in this media environment? No one can be purged unless they're knocked off of a platform or unless they like
From your audience
if they're
is
knocked off
from-
of a platform. And even by the way, that's not even true either because Nick Fuentes is now probably at the height of his popularity and he's been on alternative media platforms for the past
Just
5 to 10
don't
years.
give them a seat at your
Connor,
table.
Or we go after the figureheads, right? Like people like Sam Cedar, people like Hassan. Those guys are like 40 years old, like well into their careers. We're probably not changing their
fuck you
opinions,
too.
but
And you're just wrong about that, Will. And honestly, who's not delusional anymore in these times and days? Like, we're all fucking delusional to an extent. You're delusional to an extent, but you're just wrong in the implication of what you're saying there. And it's from a place of bigotry. It's from a place of not understanding. You're just wrong. You're just wrong.
but you have younger creators who are newer to the space, who are more prone to having their mind changed. I think targeting them and by proxy their audience is a good way of going about discerning like who we should be allying with ourselves.
Well,
who
listen,
we
I
as
am
liberals
almost
should be
supporting, and
allying
that's why I
with.
want you to get me on the TikTok.
Well, we should probably be on the offense more so. So like when we talk about the attacks right now, I heard Destiny say I think a few weeks ago on like kicking out Kyle Kalinske, and I think that's one of the most brain dead, pathetic, and weak things you could possibly do because you should be providing some counter narratives and counter propaganda to talk about things like anti-corruption. There is a very strong anti-corruption liberal message. John Ossoff is doing it great right now that we can drive home to say, for example, if someone's a Kyle Kalinske fan, I came up like this. Okay, I was a Bernie Bro Kyle Kalinske guy. Then I saw other content that slowly moved me over. If we just say like money in politics is not an issue at all, we can't get those voters. But I can tell you from my peers, from people that are actually going to be voting that still vote Democrat, kicking out like a Kyle Kalinske who calls the Republican Party a fascist death cult and says I think he said he'll vote. I don't know if Soy Pill, I think Live and Learn said this, that Kyle Kalinske would vote for even Joe Manchin at this point because of how devilish and terrible the Republican Party is. There is a way to work within this system to do propaganda that's effective to make sure when there's a young person that comes into politics, they don't see Hassan talk about, oh, there's money, there's secret money controlling everything. You should give a counter message like, hey, Netanyahu paid, these pro-Israel, pro-Zionist groups paid.
I don't know. Well, it seems pretty easy to prove you wrong. I got all my shits back up on the channel, and I've had plenty of conversations with trans folk that are smart, intelligent, beautiful human beings. You can go find it. Well, you can go find it. But yeah, if I remember correct, it's gonna get pretty heated. So we'll probably take this up tomorrow because there's still some very important parts that I want to go over in this. But again, like we're not gonna defeat Trumpism, MAGA, the new Republican Party. If we're going after each other's throats like this, like even like the personal drama shit, Hassan versus Ethan versus everybody, Destiny versus Hassan, Destiny versus Sam Cedar, Destiny versus Kyle Kalinske. Like how are you ever going to compete with Joe Rogan in the manosphere when our people are at each other's throats? All over ego, and it's on all sides. It's not just Destiny's ego. It's not just Wit's ego. It's not Counterpoint's. It's Hassan's ego too. It's. I would say like, I don't know. I'm a Kyle guy. Kyle's my dude. I don't think Kyle has. I mean, everybody's got ego, but I don't think Kyle's is out of hand. But everybody need to check their egos. Everybody needs to put their eyes on the real enemy. And they've all got like weird sex shit going on with them. All of them in some way or another got weird sex shit going on with them. And it's like just like be here, do this, think with your brains, not with your dicks, please. Can we do that? Can we think with our brains? I know again oxymoron coming from me, but I am trying to be better. I'm trying to improve. It is funny if I said whatever Smokey said I said earlier. That shit was funny. I wouldn't put it past me. You're gonna see some clips of not coming from the Smokey camp soon, I'm sure. But they can do what they do, man. I don't care. I'm beyond that shit now. I would like to maybe have a conversation tomorrow. It's my day off. It'd be early. So if anybody's bored, yeah, we'll finish this up probably. And if anybody's bored and I'm having a room, come in and talk to me. Because, there's only so much I can do in StreamYard. Like, it's a lot easier to do this kind of stuff from OBS. StreamYard, it kind of annoys me trying to do this kind of stuff. So I won't hang around all fucking day. I am going to try to be, more open, more patient. I'll probably try to be more accurate, and that means like looking up a lot more shit on the fly when I need to than I was before. I have been, reading a lot of philosophy. Back to reading a lot of like just books for fun again, strengthening the muscle of my brain. So hopefully I'll be a little sharper, learn how to hit my mute button in the correct times. Maybe I can give up the weed and gain some of my short-term memory back. We'll see about that one, though. I make no promises. God, you got to have something, right? You got to have something. So, no, I've been enjoying coming back. I enjoy the banner from the people that dislike me or the people that oppose me. Yeah. I'm going to make my mistakes this time like I did last time, but hopefully this time it won't be drunken mistakes. It'll be mistakes I can learn from. So yeah, I'm going to dip on out of here, eat me some dinner, maybe play some Sims and go to bed. And Sims news, we're getting a new fucking expansion. Like, The Sims is what, 12 years old now? It's an old game. It's be like 20 expansions, countless packs. I've like pretty much bought everything. I've spent way too much money on this one video game that's now like literally too big for a lot of people's computers. It's probably like the biggest video game ever at this point. It's fucking insane. Another fucking expansion, really? It looks dope. Can't wait, but really another one? Oh, that's I'm a dork. I like life simulators, and I was very critical at first because it wasn't old school Sims, and I don't know, but now it's like, man, between the mods and all the different expansions, you can pretty much do everything. You can pretty much fucking do everything. It's fucking great. I love it. All right, and with that, the Earth isn't flat, bitches.